This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine, Volume 20, dated June 25, 1999. The main feature is a special report on the Gundam side story game Mobile Suit Gundam: Journey to Jaburo. Other highlighted titles include Air Force Delta, The King of Fighters, and Phantasy Star Online, referred to as ++mu. New game announcements include Frame Gride, Giant Graham 2, All Japan Pro Wrestling in Nippon Budokan, Professional Baseball Team Otsukuru, Climax Landers, Buggy Heat alongside Mabaroshi Tsukiyo, F355 Challenge, and Tsuchipai 2i. A Neo-Mi special report is also advertised, and the cover promotes Sega's new global strategy. This page is an advertisement for the Japanese Dreamcast release of Climax Landers, a randomly generated dungeon RPG. The advert highlights that the game will be released on July 15th and will cost 5,800 yen for the standard edition and 2,500 yen for the visual memory unit version. It also mentions a campaign where you can download minigames to your VMU, including a 3D dungeon RPG called Tsuputaku IV, a pixel art editor called Zeko Editor, and a life observation game called Nani no Yogurt. The advert features screenshots of gameplay and characters from Climax Landers. This page seems to be an advertisement for Dreamcast Direct and their Dream Point Bank program. It highlights that you can earn points when buying Dreamcast software. The text mentions the game Climax Landers, which was available through Dreamcast Direct. The page uses cartoonish, angry-looking faces to perhaps convey a sense of urgency or that people might be upset if they miss out on this offer. It includes a website address for Dreamcast Direct. The next page is the contents page of the magazine. It highlights the main features and articles in this issue. The cover story is about Sega's New World Strategy, covering the Sega New Challenge Conference 99. Other features include an interview with Namco vs development team and Mamoru Nagano regarding Soul Calibur. This is mentioned as a Special Talk Part 1 and a release date decision commemoration. A Soul Calibur Special Issue Volume 6 is also listed. An article on Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony no Ochita Chi-Day, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, 0079, Rise from the Ashes. An article about New Burasutamu. An article about Langrisser Millennium Miracle. An article about Martian successor Nadesico, The Mission. An article on Air Force Delta. An article on Shenmue Miracle. An article on the King of Fighters Dream Match 1999. There is a section called Dreamcast Hot Information, which lists upcoming Dreamcast games including Frame Gride, Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan, Mabaroshi Tsukiyo, Climax Landers, Professional Baseball Team Otsukuru, Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team, Buggy Heat, Street Fighter 03, Saikyo Habu Shogi. Finally, there is a Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide section focusing on thorough strategy guides, mentioning Dynamite Deca 2, Die Hard Arcade 2, and Elemental Gimmick Gear. This magazine's contents page details articles and sections. Key articles include features on Cool Borders DC Cool, the D2 Snowmobile Time Attack, F355 Challenge gameplay, and Danu Senki Virtual on Oratorio Tangram, announcing the Dreamcast version. Now, there's also a weekly Sega Saturn magazine information station and sections for reader content. The Game Index lists numerous games with corresponding page numbers, spanning genres from sports like Air Force Delta and Pro Yaku Team Otsukuru, to fighting games such as The King of Fighters Dream Match 1999, and role-playing games like Langrisser Millennium. Reader features. Regular features cover news, data, reader content, and columns. These include a variety of themes such as anime, manga, game development, and reader participation. This page highlights the upcoming release of MILCD for the Dreamcast, a new media format announced for the console, described as a viewing CD. The page reveals that girl group Deeps will be singing the image song for MILCD and will appear in a commercial starting June 28th. The commercial shoot happened at a studio in Tokyo, with each member of Deeps representing a feature of MILCD, viewing, ERI, listening, Chica, and Internet, AKI. The members of Deeps share their excitement about the MILCD format, particularly the ability to watch full promotional videos on the Dreamcast, something previously limited to short snippets on TV. They discussed their new single Heartbreak Diary, released on July 22nd as the MILCD image song. This 8cm single, a cover of HIM, also includes a coupling song, Lucky Summer Days, with the Heartbreak Diary video clip and internet connectivity features. The first MILCD titles, Kita E Pure Song and Pictures, and Snapper's 9 Chairs, were released on June 25th. This page announces a special limited edition Dreamcast console called Model Seaman, which is themed around the popular and quirky game Seaman. It will be released on July 22nd, and only 500 units will be available. The console is described as having a milky white skeleton design to evoke the image of newborn cells. Elsewhere on the page, it's reported that the WonderSwan handheld console has reached 1 million units sold by the end of July. To celebrate, 3 new cool color variations, Sherbet Melon, Soda Blue, and Frozen Mint, are being released. There's also news of the opening of Shibuya Gigo in late June, which will be the first national Dreamcast Network corner. This location aims to attract female gamers with dedicated lady zones and instructors available to teach them how to play. Finally, the trading card game Aquarian Age is highlighted as gaining popularity after its beta release, and ESP is planning to create a video game adaptation for release next spring. The article mentions the Tokyo Character Show, where Aquarian Age was featured, and suggests the game adaptation will utilize the Dreamcast's communication capabilities for online play. The especially president expresses confidence in creating quality games, and mentions they are considering platforms like PlayStation and Sega Saturn, but leaning towards Dreamcast due to its online features. The Hobby Fair showcased DCDC, a Dreamcast VM download service including a Kanban match. Docomo is launching Itsudemo Chiratsupa, a mobile wallpaper service featuring Hello Kitty, My Melody, and Pompompurin for 100 yen monthly starting June 1st. Tokyo Joyopolis is offering an educational VR tour using comedic videos. Artist Takatu Aruhi's Friends art book is being given away. Konami is releasing a Kiniku Banzuke muscle ranking keychain game on July 4th for 2,980 yen. Bandai Music is launching the Voice Request Series drama CD series, starting with Future Girls on June 21st, featuring voice actors like Yumiko Jinbo. This page announces several news and goods items. The GODS section features Seibu Lions trading cards with Matsuzaka, available June 12th. The news section covers Makoto Kuria's new jazz album, Antitheses #2 inches, anime theme arrangements, and the eligibility of game music for Grammy Awards. The Recording Academy will include game music in Best Soundtrack Album and Best Instrumental Composition for Visual Media. Several CD releases are listed, including albums by the HIGHLOWS, For Life, Peach, Sandy with the Coconut Cups, Coil, Story, and the Puyo Puyo SUNDX soundtrack. An event announcement promotes Compile President Nitani Masamitsu's CD debut event on June 13th. The present application section details how to enter a prize draw by sending postcards. This page focuses on Sega's network strategy for the Dreamcast. It highlights the successful launches of the Dreamcast in both the US and Europe, with release dates set for September 9, 1999 in America and September 23, 1999 in Europe, both priced at $199.99 and £199.99 respectively. CBS News is mentioned as having given positive coverage of the Dreamcast launch at E3. The page then introduces HeatNet, Sega's ambitious global online network service for the Dreamcast. It shows screenshots from a racing game, likely showcasing the online multiplayer capabilities enabled by HeatNet, suggesting global online races. The text emphasizes the Dreamcast Heat project, aiming to establish a worldwide online gaming arena and connect players across continents for online battles. This page announces that the Dreamcast domestic shipments have reached 1 million units by the end of May. It features Irie's voice, likely an interview from a Sega representative discussing the current state of Dreamcast users. The page analyses Dreamcast users, breaking down age demographics showing 20-year-olds as the majority, and noting the increase in female users as the platform enters its second phase. It discusses network connection rates, reporting that they are exceeding initial expectations by 30%, indicating strong interest in network content. There is an announcement for Baldur's Gate, stating it will be a Heat Network-compatible title. This is the first Heat Network-compatible RPG, and is expected to generate high user interest. The World Network service is officially named Dreamcast Heat. This is positioned as the service for online gaming and communication worldwide, and Baldur's Gate is highlighted as the first title to use this service. Finally, there's a mention of Steven Spielberg visiting the Sega booth at E3, capturing a commemorative photo with Sega executives, highlighting the high expectations for the Dreamcast. The next page announces the Dreamcast second phase campaign with a new console price of 19,900 yen starting June 24th. This campaign focuses on infrastructure expansion and Dream Passport 2 free distribution, highlighting network features and the free Dream Passport 2 disc. The page promotes a campaign and advertising battle and features editor's eyes commentary on the price drop and network gaming. There are three main campaigns. Campaign 1, Masterpiece Now 1,990 yen, offers classic titles like Virtual Fighter 3 TB, Godzilla Generations, Adventurous Park, and Sonic Adventure for a discounted price of 1,990 yen. Campaign 2, Shenmue Zanmai Suzuki Mikio, focuses on Shenmue, acknowledging delays but promising exciting updates, featuring comments from Suzuki Mikio. Campaign 3, Next National CM Character Campaign, teases a new character for Dreamcast TV commercials. The page also mentions network game development, with titles like FrameGride and Pro Baseball Team Otsukuru planned for release, and highlights Sega's commitment to improving network gaming infrastructure and parental controls. Games like Eco the Dolphin and Super Robot Taisen Alpha are also noted as utilizing the Dreamcast's capabilities. A survey of 100 Dreamcast Magazine readers, following a Dreamcast presentation, revealed early interest in several new titles. Baldur's Gate, an action RPG, topped the list with 47% purchase interest. Virtua Striker 2 DC, 45%, and Super Robot Wars, 43%, followed. Project ARES, Echo the Dolphin, Metropolis Street Racer, NBA 2K, Ready to Rumble Boxing, and NFL 2K rounded out the rankings. Purchase intent varied by ownership status. For Dreamcast owners, 28% planned immediate purchase, 36% would buy if the price dropped, 34% were uninterested, and 2% found it too expensive. Among non-Dreamcast owners, 25% would consider purchasing the console and software with a price reduction, while 73% had no intention to buy. Banpresto is bringing its flagship Super Robot Wars series to the Dreamcast. The official announcement was delayed until June 1st, but the project has been in development with the aim of utilizing the Dreamcast's 3D capabilities to provide a unique experience compared to past titles. Details on content, staff, and release date are being kept secret, even regarding the inclusion of Turn A Gundam. The game will leverage the Dreamcast's features and address fan expectations for a next-generation Super Robot Wars experience. The article also notes previous entries across various platforms. Celebrated Anison singer Ichiro Mizuki expressed excitement, especially his love for Mazinger Z, and joked about buying a Dreamcast if he could sing the theme song. Sega held an emergency Q&A session covering several topics. Package changes initiated on June 24th will not occur. Seals or stickers will be used instead. Dream Passport 2 distribution is underway, with details forthcoming, and will be free. Sega is integrating its AM and CS divisions for greater synergy. They're considering bringing more overseas Dreamcast titles to Japan based on domestic demand. Network connection fees for Dreamcast, if Sega is the provider, will be free, with details announced soon. They are also exploring the possibility of providing software assets to other consoles. Sega is heavily focused on the internet and network capabilities of the Dreamcast, aiming for a new business strategy and model, and emphasizing Chairman Okawa's role in this vision. Sega's future is tied to the Dreamcast's success. This page spotlights Cool Borders DC, revealing the nickname of the featured girl character is derived from music. The developers considered rock and techno music styles when designing her. The character is described as a kogel, a fashionable young girl, but not with tan skin, and she is likened to Axl Rose in image, though the name Axel was chosen to be more unique and related to speed and borders, reflecting the game's theme. The page highlights features like energetic techno girl who loves dancing, high school student, and alpine-style freestyle. The game boasts unprecedented freedom in snowboard games, with enhanced physics and dynamic gameplay on the Dreamcast. Screenshots display in-game action and speed, emphasizing a thrilling experience beyond typical board games. The game is scheduled for release on August 26th, priced at 5,800 yen, and is categorized as a sports game supporting Puru Puru Pak, Rumble Pack. Cool Borders DC is holding a Cool Name Grand Recruitment for character names and staff role credits. Character designer Masaki Shimizu highlights the game's musical focus and Eileen as inspiration, describing her as a cool, rebellious high school student. Planner Yasutaka Osato emphasizes the game's energetic and engaging concept. Participants are encouraged to submit name ideas, particularly with character settings. Winning entries will be featured in the game. The recruitment also seeks names for staff role credits, with a grand prize, including staff credit mention, a signed illustration, merchandise, and early game access. 2 runners-up will also receive prizes. Gameplay elements like break and trick are emphasized. The deadline for submissions is June 21st. Instructions for application are provided, along with the UEP Systems HP website address. This page is a Dreamcast sales ranking chart from a 1999 Japanese magazine, listing the top 10 best-selling games. At number 1 is Dynamite Cop, a new release action game. Second place is Elemental Gimmick Gear, a new action RPG. The House of the Dead 2, a shooting game, holds third place. Sega Bass Fishing is in fourth position. Blue Stinger, an action-adventure, is at number 5. Sega Rally 2, a racing game, is 6th. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, a fighting game, is 7th. Sonic Adventure, an action title, is 8th. Power Stone, a fighting action game, is 9th. And Key to E. White Illumination, an adventure game that was only released in Japan, is 10th. The page notes a significant Dreamcast price drop from May 24th and highlights special pricing for Sonic Adventure and Virtua Fighter 3 TB at 1,990 yen. The sales data is compiled from various retailers for the period of May 24th to May 30th. The top 30 most anticipated Dreamcast games, as voted by readers, are highlighted. Shenmue tops the list with 526 points, promising secrets in its October 28th release. Grandia 2 is second, with 462 points, with gameplay and graphics anticipation building. Soul Calibur follows in third, with 442 points, launching August 5th, and features special dialogues. Other highly ranked titles include Resident Evil Code, Veronica, SNK vs. Staya, Capcom, Disgaea, Hour of Darkness, and Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden. Colony Falling Ground Weekly Pickup features Langrisser Millennium, 30% complete, with an autumn release planned. The countdown includes a diverse range of genres, from fighting games and RPGs to sports and visual novels, offering a comprehensive look at the Dreamcast's diverse library. This page showcases 2 game rankings and a weekly pickup section. The first ranking is the Reader's Choice Desired Ports Software Ranking TOP20, listing games fans wanted to see ported to the Dreamcast, with titles such as Sakura Wars series at number 1, followed by Rent-A-Hero and Metal Gear Solid. Other games in the top 20 include Dead or Alive 2, Zombie Revenge, Street Fighter II, Third Strike, Crazy Taxi, Shining Force series, Burning Rangers, Knights, and Daytona USA. The second ranking is the Video Game Income Ranking Top 15, listing the top-earning arcade video games. This chart is topped by Virtua Striker 2, version 99, with Virtua Fighter 3 TB and Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram Ver. 5.4 also ranking high. Street Fighter 03, Tekken 3, The King of Fighters 98, Spike Out, The House of the Dead 2, and Soul Calibur also appear in this income chart. Finally, the weekly pickup section highlights 2 games, Super Real Mahjong vs. and Street Fighter EX2 Plus. The article mentions that Street Fighter EX2 PLSS is the latest in the Street EX series, emphasizing its new characters and systems, and promoting it as a significant update rather than a minor change. It mentions that more details are coming in the next issue. This Dreamcast Magazine page previews upcoming software and hardware. Games are categorized by release month, spanning June to December 1999, and future seasons and years. Key genres include action, ACT, role-playing, RPG, and race, RAC. Compatible peripherals like the visual memory, VM, handle, and microphone are also indicated. June's releases include Biohazard Code, Veronica, and The King of Fighters, Dream Match 1999. July features Street Fighter 03 and Buggy Heat. August introduces Soul Calibur. Other notable titles include Shenmue Chapter 1, Yokosuka, October, and Berserk, December. Future releases include MSR and Dark Eyes. 2000. Hardware announcements include the Neo Geo Pocket/Dreamcast cable, June, zip drive, tentative, fishing controller, and microphone. This page presents the Reader's Race Ranking, Issue 22, showcasing Dreamcast software as judged by readers. It's essentially a popularity poll of Dreamcast games. At the top of the ranking is Sega Rally 2, followed by Sonic Adventure, and The House of the Dead 2. Other highly rated games in the top 10 include Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Power Stone, Popton Music, Evolution, Eternal Dungeons, Aerodancing F featuring Blue Impulse, and Elemental Gimmick Gear. The 9th ranked game, Dynamite Cop, is featured with screenshots and reader reviews. Readers praise the exhilarating action and simple controls, making it enjoyable even for young children. They mention the satisfying feeling of defeating enemies and appreciate the game's arcade-like quality, stating it surpasses the arcade version in graphics and overall polish. One reviewer notes the short playtime per credit, but emphasizes the continuous fun. Another mentions the abundance of items and varied stages, while another highlights the exhilaration and the enjoyable two-player mode. Some wished for more mission variety, or felt the arcade port was too faithful, lacking unique home console elements. This page highlights new Dreamcast games and peripherals. Elemental Gimmick Gear, EGG, receives praise for its blend of 2D and 3D gameplay and challenging puzzles, scoring an 8.5882 average. A ranking table of popular Dreamcast peripherals like rumble packs, arcade sticks, and VGA boxes is also provided, along with pricing and reviews. Player comments discuss controller-related issues in games like Power Stone and Marvel vs. Capcom, and anticipation for new titles. The page also announces a Dreamcast price drop, making it more affordable. Information on the Giant Channel visual memory game is included. Finally, the page promotes a reader competition predicting game rankings, offering prizes such as arcade sticks and software. This page is a special talk interview feature about Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast, commemorating the release date decision. It's an interview with members of the Namco VS development team, Hiroaki Yotoriyama and Naotake Hirata. The interview starts with the interviewer noting that this is the first time seeing the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur in person, and expresses excitement. Yotoriyama mentions that they used arcade hardware as a base and have put a lot of effort into the Dreamcast version. Hirata says he is shocked by the visual quality when actually seeing it in motion. The interview touches on graphical improvements in the Dreamcast version, with comments about polygon backgrounds and detailed floor rendering. They also discuss the characters, mentioning Ivy as a main character, and confirm that the game system itself remains unchanged from the arcade version, focusing on visual enhancements for the Dreamcast release. This page is an interview between the Dreamcast Magazine editorial department and Mamoru Nagano. The interview is focused on the Dreamcast port of Soul Edge, known as Soul Blade, outside of Japan. They discuss the improved graphics of the Dreamcast version, mentioning the texture data and full-color output capabilities of the console compared to the arcade version. Nagano talks about redoing all the motion capture for the Dreamcast version, including the opening movie. They discuss the polygon count for the game models being increased from the arcade version. The interviewers are impressed by the improved graphics and details, like the ripples in water and character facial expressions. They also touch upon the character design, noting that the designs differ significantly between the first and second player versions of characters, which was a lot of work. There are two photos of Mamoru Nagano and another person who is possibly from the editorial team. There are also screenshots of Soul Edge/Soul Blade gameplay. Now, Nagano is described as being involved in mecha design for Heavy Metal L game and Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, and game design for Virtua Fighter 2 and Tekken 3. It also mentions he enjoys playing Virtua Fighter 2, Tekken 3, Soul Calibur, Shining Force, and other series at arcades and at home with his assistants. He also mentions that he is a writer and has written under the pen name Maito Atoras. This page is an interview feature with developers Nagano and Satoriyama discussing the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur. The interview focuses on the O-Make mode and a potential RPG mode, with developers joking about whether it's becoming an RPG. The interview touches upon the challenges of development, mentioning the large workload and time constraints. Satoriyama notes that they initially spent about 1 to 2 months creating the original version and are now aiming to create the Dreamcast version in a few months, highlighting the significant effort involved, especially with modeling. They discuss parameter adjustments and improving the balance of the game based on arcade feedback. They are also considering how to present the O-Make mode effectively within the memory limitations of the Dreamcast. The page also previews the game modes for the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur. These include Arcade mode, which will be similar to the arcade version with stage select, VS mode for home console battles with stage select, Team battle mode where players create teams of characters to fight, time attack mode, practice mode for learning techniques including the 8-WAYRUN system and guard impact training, survival mode, and A mode, which is speculated to be a communication battle mode. An interview titled Namco vs Development Team X Mamoru Nagano focuses on the Dreamcast game Soul Calibur. A giveaway offers 5 signed artworks by Mamoru Nagano related to FSS, 5-star stories, requiring applications by June 30th. The interview covers Soul Calibur's character design, gameplay, and development challenges, mentioning characters like Nightmare and Ivy. The team discusses player feedback, game balancing, and making the game user-friendly. They address voice timing and gameplay mechanics, aiming for further refinements and improvements. The arcade version and its Dreamcast port are also mentioned. The page concludes with a link to a Toys Press review article on the homepage, useful for Dreamcast users and FSS fans. The interview team expresses gratitude for their hard work. This page is a Soul Calibur special feature from Dreamcast Magazine, diving into the game's story. The section is titled Story Part, Backbone Side Story Plus Character File, and focuses on a side story called Wandering Swordsman, which is story file number 6. The text details the backstory of Mitsurugi Heishiro, explaining his origins as a farmer who became a renowned swordsman. It mentions his encounter with firearms on the battlefield, and how this new weapon challenged his belief in swordsmanship. The article talks about the rumors of a legendary sword circulating, and hints at Mitsurugi seeking it to overcome the threat of firearms and prove the power of the sword. Game screenshots are featured showcasing the gameplay of Soul Calibur. A small section at the bottom mentions Soul Calibur as the sword wielded by the female knight Xianghua, described as a sacred sword and one of the 3 treasures of Zhengyan Temple. This page is dedicated to Soul Calibur for Dreamcast, a 3D weapon-based fighting game by Namco, scheduled for release on August 5th at 5,800 yen and compatible with the Rumble Pack. The page details the stories surrounding Mitsurugi Heishiro, a central character in Soul Calibur, and his relationships with other characters. The character relationship diagram shows Liran pursuing Mitsurugi for revenge, Taki informing Mitsurugi he is considered an enemy, Fuan who once fought Mitsurugi, and Nightmare who is after Soul Edge and is watching Mitsurugi. The text explains Mitsurugi's journey to find the legendary sword Soul Edge, and the conflicts he encounters with other warriors also seeking the sword or tied to his past. It mentions that Mitsurugi has faced defeat at Tanegashima and is now heading towards Europe. The page also highlights the Soul Edge sword itself, describing it as a cursed sword that is central to the story. Originally a pair of swords, one was destroyed, and now only one large sword remains. This page is dedicated to a Soul Calibur special issue, focusing on the character Mitsurugi. The page details his character story, mentioning his journey across continents and encounters with strong opponents. It describes his weapon, the Yojinbo, a katana suited for quick-draw techniques, different from his previous sword, Shishio. The text mentions that in a time when firearms were not prevalent, swords were the main weapon, and describes the distinction between Ken, double-edged sword, and Tu, single-edged sword, explaining the katana's popularity in Europe and Asia. There are screenshots showcasing Soul Calibur gameplay, highlighting the fighting action between Mitsurugi and Nightmare. The page also hints at the hidden potential of the Yojinbo and its effectiveness in quick-draw attacks. This page is about Heishiro Mitsurugi in the game's Soul Calibur. It details 3 key features of Mitsurugi's fighting style. The first feature highlights his balance techniques, explaining that his swordsmanship is adapted to counter projectiles, like those from Tanegashima firearms. He uses techniques that allow him to close the distance quickly, while maintaining a low stance to evade attacks. The second feature focuses on Iai Goshi, a quick-draw stance for executing deadly attacks. It mentions that Mitsurugi's EI stance can also lead to counterattacks. When in this stance, he is vulnerable, but the attacks launched from it are powerful. The third feature describes Mitsurugi's Kasumi stance, which emphasizes rapid attacks. This stance is purely for offensive moves in a straight line, making him vulnerable to sidesteps. However, attacks from this stance are powerful, including moves like Rokudo no Sabaki and Hakuto. The page also mentions that if an attack like Kazan connects at close range, it can lead to further damage and combo opportunities. The page concludes by saying that Mitsurugi also has light techniques for controlling the opponent's movements. This page reports on the Namco private show held from June 1st to 8th in Tokyo, Osaka, Fukuoka, and Nagoya, showcasing new arcade games for the summer. The event featured games like Tekken Tag Tournament, Jumping Group, Guitar Jam, Quick and Crush, and Over QN. Guitar Jam is highlighted as a popular music game. The page also details a Namco vs Development Department corner, focusing on the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur. An interview section titled Development Site's Live Voice explores the creation of Mitsurugi, emphasizing the Japanese samurai image and strong character design. There's also an announcement for a Soul Calibur cosplay photo contest, inviting readers to submit photos and illustrations related to the game, with a CG illustration prize offered by the VS Development Department. Submissions should be sent to Dreamcast Magazine at the provided address. The next page is an advertisement for an art book called Friends Spring Shine by Toru Mizutani. This artwork collection features illustrations from the game Friends, including character designs, casual outfits, swimwear, and event graphics, presenting a complete collection of Toru Mizutani's original artwork. The book is a 4-size, 152 pages long, and priced at 2,800 yen plus tax. It is described as the definitive preservation edition for fans. This page is a special report from Dreamcast Magazine focusing on the game Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. It highlights this as a new Gundam side story set during the One-Year War, specifically in Australia, which has been devastated by a space colony drop. The game follows the White Dingo team led by Lieutenant Rayer in the final month of the war, focusing on the Federation's counteroffensive and uncovering deeper system mysteries. It is described as a 3D shooting game, where players will fight through 3D terrain leading their comrades, a feature not possible in previous Gundam games. The game is developed by Bandai and scheduled for release on August 26th for 6,800 yen, supporting one player and with planned network battles. This page previews Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes for the Dreamcast, announcing a delay in its release from June. The producer, Kuji Inoguchi from Bandai Visual Games Development Department, explains that the delay is to improve the game's quality and add more content, as he doesn't want to release a half-finished product. Key features highlighted include communication functions for network play, improved operability based on player feedback from show versions, and special disc content. Screenshots illustrate in-game perspectives and Gundam action. The next page in the magazine presents information about the Dreamcast game focusing on battlefield tactics. It introduces Master P. Layer, the platoon leader, and Bob Rock, the maintenance chief, from the White Dingo squad. The page highlights essential combat maneuvers, using vernier gauges for high-speed movement with dash and jump, employing lock-on for target acquisition, and utilizing guard actions to protect your unit. The game emphasizes strategic team composition, featuring units like the RGC-80GM cannon, designed for long-range combat, and the RGM-79GM, equipped with a beam spray gun and standard shield for versatile engagements. The Battlefield Integration Control System, BIC system, is shown, allowing players to configure 3 mobile suit units, selecting weapons and shields. The page suggests the game is about surviving on the battlefield through strategic unit selection and mastering core combat techniques. This page details tactical gameplay in Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. Players control units, including the Oasis Support Hover Truck and Fang units, Fang-1, Fang-2, Fang-3, using commands like Move, Search, to find and engage enemies, SP Search, OASIS's Sonar, Attack, with range options, and Guard. A recruitment aptitude test flowchart determines player success, with branching questions and answers. The flowchart focuses on comparing units such as Dom versus Jim, and the player's approach to combat such as close combat versus ranged. Success depends on making the correct tactical decisions based on the given situations in the flowchart. Anita Julian operates OASS, and Maximilian Berger pilots FNG-3. The page showcases the command interface and in-game combat, including close combat tactics. The next page is about the Dreamcast game Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeonic Front. It's titled Intensifying Australian Front and previews 2 missions. Mission 2, Alice Springs Capture Strategy, takes place on November 25th, UC 0079. A text describes the mission objectives. White Dingo team is tasked with capturing Alice Springs, acting as a separate force ahead of the main Red Possum unit. They need to destroy enemy Torchkachka units positioned north and south of the city and hold the line until reinforcements arrive. The text hints at the difficulty and uncertainty of this operation. Mission 3, in Simpsons Gap, is set on December 1st, UC 0079. Following their success in Alice Springs, the White Dingo team was taking a break, but they are immediately redeployed. New threats emerge, with GAU attack carriers launching from Darwin and Adelaide. The mission is an ambush operation in Simpsons Gap, under heavy fog, with hidden enemy units posing a threat. The screenshots show in-game views of the missions, showcasing the environments and mecha action. This page focuses on Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, showcasing stages 2 and 3 of the game. Stage 2 is set in a city environment, emphasizing building destruction as a key gameplay element for strategic advantage. Developers mention that all buildings can be destroyed, encouraging players to use them for cover or demolition. Stage 3 takes place in a rocky mountain area, adding challenging terrain and poor visibility due to weather and terrain. The developers point out that this stage aims to create a sense of tension, where enemies might suddenly appear from the rocks, and that players might mistake rock formations for enemies. The page also highlights a scenario where players face a small mobile suit team, allowing for either negotiation or combat depending on player choice, and mentions an objective to capture GAU. Screenshots show in-game cockpit views and Gundam units engaging in combat in urban and rocky environments. This page is a preview of a Gundam game for the Dreamcast called Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony Drop Operations. It's part 1 of a continuous cutscene, showing GMs being launched from a transport vehicle. Mission 4, titled Cut Off the Wings of the Rear, takes place in the Carrieron mining base on UC 0079-12-18. The mission objective is to capture the mining facility, which is described as a complex terrain of pipes and iron frames, suitable for ambush attacks. The player needs to support allied forces, secure an escape route, and then attack the enemy. The page also details a system check, which explains the possibility of part damage to mobile suits, impacting performance such as sensorability for the head, attack power for the arms, defense power for the shield, and mobility for the legs. Damaging the arms affects attack power, while head damage can cause sensor failure and blown cockpit glass. This page highlights gameplay from Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes. The top section showcases continuous shots of Jim Cannon and Zaku Cannon combat, emphasizing the smooth animation and dynamic camera angles, making it feel like watching a TV anime in motion. The middle section is from the development team, focusing on Stage 4 of the game, and points out areas of interest. It explains that Zaku cannons are weaker in close combat, making terrain usage a key strategy. The AI differs for each enemy unit, reacting uniquely, and players will face relentless attacks from the other side of the valley. The developer mentions enjoying how the 3D field enhances the immersive battle experience. The bottom section details a mission objective. Urgently proceed to the landing point of the undocking media. The mission involves transporting cargo to a safe zone, and failure occurs if the cargo is destroyed. Strategic command usage, like ordering allies for defense and setting containers as targets, is recommended for success in this mission. This Dreamcast special report previews Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 0079, Rise from the Ashes, focusing on the Zeon mobile suits Goof, MSM-03, and Dom, MS-09. The Goff, an amphibious unit, appears in Stage 5 with heat rods and megaparticle cannons, while the Dom, equipped with a giant bazooka and heat saber, represents Zeon's main force. Battles will escalate, with the White Dingo team involved, and an upcoming incident central to the story. An interview reveals plans for underwater battles, enabled by the Goof, and stages with more verticality. The producer is considering implementing the Dom's flash beam attack. The report also highlights the Federation's development of new mobile suits, including the GM Sniper 2, RGM-79SP, which players can obtain to counter Xeon's advancements, potentially making battles easier. The method of acquisition remains unclear. This page is a special report detailing the creation process of realistic mobile suit images for a game, likely related to the Gundam franchise although not explicitly named. The article breaks down the process into 4 stages. Firstly, it extracts model data directly from the game, noting an increase in polygon count from around 500 to 15,003,000 for higher fidelity. Secondly, the layout and background models are created, using wireframe models to establish the scene featuring a gym unit in a maintenance bay, with iron scaffolding and other details to create the setting. Thirdly, light source processing and rendering are applied to the model data, simulating light from above, and adjustments are made to refine details from the in-game model like the head's roundness and the Federation emblem. Finally, retouching is carried out using image editing software to achieve a finished look with nuanced gradations. The article also touches on the animation philosophy, emphasizing the pursuit of realism and merging it with the real world, drawing inspiration from the Gunpla model kit aesthetic and aiming to capture the essence of the Gundam world. It highlights the contrast between Zaku and soldiers as a point of visual appeal. This page is a special report from Dreamcast Magazine, showcasing the puzzle game Purasu Garamu by Takuya, planned for release in the fall. It's described as a simple but highly addictive puzzle game. The main character is introduced as Tiso, a cheerful and energetic boy. The game's appeal lies in its straightforward rules that are easy to grasp. The page details the gameplay mechanics, explaining how to eliminate balls by strategically manipulating falling orbs of different colors. Diagrams illustrate a step-by-step guide on how to create chain reactions by matching colors, highlighting the game's depth beyond typical falling block puzzles, branding it as an action-packed competitive puzzle game. The rules are presented visually, with numbered steps and lettered elements, to explain the cause and effect of matching balls and triggering chain reactions. This page introduces the puzzle game Purus Plathome, detailing the gameplay and characters. The game features heated battles where players must manage scales and eliminate orbs to defeat opponents. Gameplay mechanics are explained, including how to win by tipping the opponent's scale, the penalty line which increases orb weight, the balance system, and the special move gauge that charges up for powerful attacks. The page also introduces several characters that appear as opponents in the game. Kanan, the main protagonist, is described as someone who is good at studying but not very clever in general, and a pure-hearted young boy. Other opponents featured are Gero, Mana, Rassel, Brau, Flora, and Dilam, each briefly described with personality traits. The bottom section shows a screenshot from the story mode, highlighting the ability to interact and play with these various characters. This page is all about the upcoming Dreamcast game Langrisser Millennium, a new entry in the long-running Langrisser tactical RPG series from developer Messiah. It's described as a simulation RPG and is slated for release in autumn 1999, though the price is still to be determined. The page highlights that this new Langrisser is a completely fresh start for the series, evolving from turn-based strategy to a real-time battle simulation style of gameplay. The illustrations are being handled by Kainoshin and Baton Touch, promising a new Langrisser experience. The text emphasizes a new legend is about to begin, indicating a departure from previous storylines while still maintaining the core Langrisser spirit. It also mentions the series has continued for 7 years and that Langrisser V was released last year and reached its conclusion, but this new entry will appear on Dreamcast. The preview mentions delving into the details of the story, which involves heroes burdened with destiny opening the curtain on a new saga. The game system is described as completely new, moving away from the turn-based system to real-time simulation battles. This page is a game system introduction for Langrisser Millennium, a strategy simulation game. It highlights key features such as strategic level simulation, where players aim to conquer the entire map, and real-time progression in battles and city management. The game boasts beautiful graphics in 3D CG and 2D. A special divine sword system is emphasized, acting as a powerful finishing move. The game features 5 main heroes, each with unique storylines and events to explore. Screenshots showcase the strategic map, real-time battle scenes, and character status screens. The text also explains the game flow as a cycle of strategic planning and tactical battles. A checkpoint section details the Divine Sword system, mentioning that battles are fought with individual units called Divine Swordsmen, and squads can be formed with 14 members. The system introduces attributes and ranks for Divine Swordsmen, and emphasizes strategic use of divine sword skills for advantages in combat. This page presents character introductions for the game Record of Lodos War. Deed Lit Saga. Saloon der Viodane is introduced as the calm and ambitious Lord of Verdelgan, voiced by Shigeru Shibuya. Masariba is the spirited leader of a small kingdom, a half-human who is trusted by her people, voiced by Suzuka Shima. Lumiati Ma is the beautiful and compassionate leader of Misra's mercenary knights, a skilled warrior, voiced by Satsuki Yukino. Taji Asgarov is the inexperienced but bright new king of Seiram, chosen by a sacred sword and voiced by Yuka Imai. Finally, Ne Lius Lisung is the confident and sometimes arrogant ruler of the commercial nation Sin, voiced by Tomoko Kawakami. This page is a report on the production presentation of Langrisser Millennium for the Dreamcast, titled The Birthday Eve. It details the event which presented the game to the press. The page highlights the game's free scenario system, where choosing a protagonist leads to different story developments. It introduces key figures involved in the game, including representatives from Sun Music Production, NEC Interchannel, Sega Enterprises, and Nippon Computer System, the developers of the game, plus the composers and character designers. The report covers the game explanation from the development team, a composer introduction, voice actor auditions, and a vocal unit audition to decide who would sing the theme song. Character designer Kaishaku, consisting of Otagaki Haruko and Shichino Heiyu, is profiled, noting their history as manga artists and their detailed art style. The page includes character art of the 5 main protagonists and in-game screenshots showcasing dialogue and battle scenes. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game mobile battleship Nadesico, the mission, which is set after the movie The Prince of Darkness did. It's described as a serious simulation adventure game, where you take on the role of the captain of the new Nadesico B. The gameplay features adventure sections where you interact with crew members and real-time polygon battle simulations. Characters highlighted are Hoshino Ruri, who is the captain and will depend on your actions; Prospector, who is still enveloped in mystery; Uribatake Seiya, the passionate mechanic; and Home, the chef for the crew. Screenshots also feature Izumi and Hikaru, described as pilot candidates, with Izumi being cold-hearted and Hikaru having a cheerful personality. The adventure part of the game is said to include romance elements. The game is set to be released on August 26th and published by Kadokawa Shoten/ESP, priced at 6,800 yen, and is a single-player game. The next page is focusing on the game related to Martian successor Nadesico, specifically Martian successor Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years. The page is titled Battleship and Mobile Weapon, and compares the battle strength of the Nadesico Corps' Mars successors. It introduces 2 types of battleships: the Yumemizuki class battleship, which is described as a standard battleship equipped with a phase transition engine, and the Keiton Tombo, a small attack ship used for continuous frontline deployment, suggesting it can deploy Estabalis units. The section G Blast explains a powerful attack called Gravity Blast, which is the key to victory for battleships, emphasizing its strength, but also cautioning about potential immobilization after use. The page then discusses unmanned and manned weapons, mentioning early unmanned units like Bata and Joro, which are small and focused on high-speed movement. It then introduces manned units, including the Tetsujin, described as a close combat unit, and the Devil Estabalis, a high-performance Estabalis unit. Lastly, it mentions the mass production frame type, Estabalis, a standard model equipped with cannons and Gatling guns for ground combat. The mobile weapons section generally refers to the Estabalis units, explaining they are versatile mobile weapons used by the Earth Federation forces and are called Estes for short. These are described as standard manned mobile weapons used by the Nurgle Heavy Industries and Crimson Group. For the Martian successors, they are known as Shishiki, and mass-produced Jin types are also mentioned as powerful units. This page is a special report for the Dreamcast game Air Force Delta, a shooting game from Konami, scheduled for release on July 29th, priced at 5,800 yen, and for a single player. This preview highlights the game's focus on realistic graphics and accurate aircraft handling. The article emphasizes that the in-game models are meticulously detailed and based on real-world aircraft specifications, not just graphical flair. Aircraft showcased include the Rafale, S-37 Berkut, F-14 Tomcat, B-1B, AH-64A Apache, and B2 spirit. While the AH-64 and B2 are included in the game's data, it suggested they might not be playable aircraft, possibly appearing as enemy units or in specific scenarios. The developers were interviewed about their dedication to realism and detail, promising a truly authentic flight combat experience. The tagline emphasizes the game's achievement of real texture and more accurate behavior. It poses the question, enemy or ally, hinting at diverse gameplay situations. This page is showcasing the detailed aircraft models available in the game Air Force Delta, a title known internationally as Air Force Delta in North America and Deadly Skies in Europe. It highlights 5 different aircraft with descriptions of their real-world counterparts and in-game characteristics. The featured planes include the FA-18 Hornet, a highly maneuverable U.S. Navy fighter bomber, the F-5E Tiger II, an older but reliable and versatile aircraft available from the start of the game, the EF-2000 Typhoon, a next-generation European air superiority fighter with unknown real-world performance at the time but high in-game potential, the F-15 Strike Eagles, a powerful and invincible U.S. Air Force development known for ground attack capabilities and maneuverability, and the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the successor to the F-4E Phantom, which uses computer support to achieve high maneuverability despite lower inherent stability. The page emphasizes the game's dedication to accurately representing these aircraft in detail. The next page is about understanding the battlefield as the first step to mission success in a flight combat game. It details 2 missions. Mission 1, Mainland Air Defense Battle, set in a cityscape where the player needs to intercept bombers flying at high altitude to protect the city. The tips mention looking down to see the city and preventing enemy bombers from entering to protect the beautiful cityscape. Mission 2, Federal Fleet Interception, takes place over the sea with islands. The player will be engaging battleships, mostly at very low altitude, but dogfights with escort fighters might require higher altitude. It warns that low-altitude flight is dangerous and mistakes can be fatal, requiring careful maneuvering. The page also includes a section on basic military terminology defining fighter aircraft and bomber aircraft, and an advertisement for an aircraft encyclopedia book called Aircraft Encyclopedia, priced at 2,200 yen, which is described as a compilation of jet-age aircraft with 220 models. This page is an interview with the development staff about the Dreamcast game Air Force Delta. The interview discusses the goals for the game, which were to create an accessible yet deep flight shooting experience, blending simulator elements with arcade shooting fun, easily playable with a standard controller but still engaging for hardcore simulator fans. The developers aim to create a game that appeals to both light and heavy users. The interview reveals that the development was triggered by Konami's desire to challenge the 3D flight shooting genre, as they had previously covered many other genres. They mentioned Konami's history of innovation, citing Dance Dance Revolution as an example of their commitment to new challenges. A screenshot of Dance Dance Revolution is shown as a reference. When asked about extra elements, the staff confirms their presence but hints they are not overly surprising, aligning with the game's realistic setting. They express curiosity about how players will react to these hidden elements. 3 cartoonish characters are also shown on the page, seemingly hinting at these extra elements. Finally, the developers address Dreamcast users, acknowledging their discerning tastes and stating they aimed for a polished presentation while keeping the gameplay simple and enjoyable for everyone, even those unfamiliar with Konami titles. They express confidence that both longtime and newer Konami fans will find Air Force Delta a satisfying experience upon release, fulfilling their expectations. This page is a special report and interview with Yu Suzuki discussing Shenmue. The game, Shenmue Chapter 1, Yokosuka, is announced for release on October 28th and is currently 50% complete. The page mentions Shenmue Chapter 2, tentative title, is also in development. Yu Suzuki talks about the volume of Shenmue and the depth of the gameplay, mentioning that even a free quest could take 35 minutes to complete. He also discusses adjusting the difficulty and game balance. Additionally, the page highlights that Shenmue will be exhibited at the Next Generation World Hobby Fair from June 12th to 13th, showcasing high-end character models and playable demos of QTE battles and free battles. The article mentions that 4 Shenmue arcade machines will be available to play at the event. Screenshots include in-game scenes and close-ups of character models, emphasizing the high visual quality. The interview also touches upon network functionality and player feedback for Network Jungle 2 and how player opinions are being considered for game development. Yu Suzuki states the importance of quality over rushing to release games. This page is an interview with Yu Suzuki discussing Shenmue and its development. Suzuki talks about the Shenmue Chapter 1 Yokosuka and reflects on the development process, mentioning that he aimed for high quality on Dreamcast and received varied reactions to the game's ambitious nature. He discusses the game's development timeline, mentioning the Yokohama presentation and game show appearances. Suzuki comments on the game's release date being pushed back to October 28th, comparing it to the release of Dragon Quest II and expressing hope that it will be a positive change. He also mentions that Shenmue is designed to be user-friendly, with help features for even young children and women, and emphasizes the importance of putting heart into game development. Suzuki touches upon the inclusion of minigames like darts to add to the gameplay experience, and mentions there are still secrets to be discovered in Shenmue. He also discusses how they are incorporating user feedback and refining the game's balance right up to the release date. The page includes screenshots from Shenmue, showing in-game scenes and text from the game. The interview concludes with Suzuki's thoughts on game development and his dedication to creating something special with Shenmue. This page is focused on The King of Fighters 99 Dream Match, providing an in-depth look at the game's fundamental systems. It highlights key aspects like attack, guard, and cancel mechanics. The attack section explains the 4 types of basic attacks: weak punch, weak kick, strong punch, and strong kick, emphasizing that move properties can change based on distance and character stance, like standing or crouching. The cancel system is described as a way to interrupt move animations to smoothly chain attacks together, noting that while powerful, cancels have limitations. The guard section details different guard types: high guard, mid guard, and low guard, each effective against specific attack levels, and explains that recognizing attack types is crucial for successful guarding. Screenshots on the page illustrate gameplay moments and character actions, showcasing the game's visual style. It emphasizes understanding these systems to improve your win rate in matches. This page is a guide on basic fighting game mechanics for King of Fighters Dream Match 1999. It explains 4 types of jumps: normal jump, small jump, medium jump, and big jump, detailing the input methods and differences in height and distance for each. The guide also covers dashing, described as a short leap forward, used to close distance and perform aerial attacks. It mentions back dashes are also single leaps, and ADV mode allows for running dashes. Down evasion is explained as a technique to avoid being further attacked when downed by pressing X and A before landing. Finally, throwing is detailed as a close-range attack initiated by direction plus Y or direction plus B, with guard breaks possible and variations in damage and grabbing throw depending on the characters and situation. It also notes that throws are possible in the air depending on the character. This page is focused on advanced fighting techniques in the King of series, most likely the King of Fighters. It details various combat mechanics like feint/guard crush, which happens when taking too much damage quickly, leaving characters vulnerable. Support attack is mentioned in the context of tag team battles, where a teammate can assist. Guard cancel allows canceling guard animations. Emergency evasion and blow-away attack are described as defensive and offensive maneuvers. The page also covers special moves and super special moves, advance and extra modes, likely referring to different gameplay systems within the King of Fighters series, potentially the advanced and extra modes introduced in KOF 98 and 99. Screenshots show characters from the King of Fighters games in action. The page seems to be an instructional guide on how to utilize advanced techniques in King of Fighters games. This guide details advanced techniques in the King of Fighters. Key mechanics include the blow-away attack, Y plus B, a powerful knockdown attack, and striking defense, the guard crush system that leaves opponents vulnerable. Attacking while guarding allows for special and super special moves. Special moves are varied and often unblockable while crouching. Air guarding is possible, but perfectly timed air guards are restricted. Ground attacks during a forward jump are unguardable. Counter/critical hits occur when hitting during an opponent's attack, increasing damage and opening opportunities for combos. Throw escapes are performed by pressing back and an attack button during a grab. Finally, counterattacks, extra special, can be executed by pressing forward plus Y and B during an opponent's attack, which can be cancelled into super special moves. This page is a feature on the game Frame Guide for the Dreamcast, titled, "Finally, thoroughly explain each mode." The article announces that the game is nearing completion at 85% and is set for release on July 15th, priced at 6,800 yen. Frame Guide is described as a 3D mecha action game where players customize giant robots for battle in a fantasy world. The article highlights the game's key modes. Part synthesis allows players to customize their mechs by acquiring materials and creating parts. Story mode is described as battle-focused, emphasizing continuous combat to gather materials for customization. 2P battle mode is a split-screen versus mode, where players can use mechs built in story mode. Finally, the communication battle mode is mentioned as still being developed, with details emerging, but it's anticipated to include chat functionality for player interaction. Screenshots throughout the page illustrate gameplay and customization aspects. The game is noted to have 3D battles, communication battles, memory backup, rumble pack support, and keyboard compatibility. This Dreamcast game allows players to customize Sukuweya robots. Players gather material, through battles, with increased drop rates from destroying specific objects. Rare material, yield higher performance parts. New parts are synthesized by combining two materials. The game previews the resulting parts' stats before synthesis. Synthesized parts are then equipped to the robot. Body parts fall into light, standard, and heavy classes, restricting class mixing within the same robot. A parts list, accessible via the Y button, displays available parts, combinations, and inventory. This feature aids in planning part synthesis. Screenshots showcase the material selection, synthesis preview, and robot customization interfaces, visually demonstrating the gameplay steps. This page provides a thorough explanation of the main story mode and frame guide, and focuses on the customization options available before each sortie. Players can customize their mechs by synthesizing parts and selecting their squire. The initial mech a player receives is determined by answering a series of questions at the start of the game. The game features 3 distinct weight classes for mechs: light, medium, and heavy, each offering unique characteristics to suit different playstyles. The page also touches upon the 2-player battle mode, highlighting that it follows a similar structure to the story mode, allowing for mech customization and squire selection before battles. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast title Frame Guide, focusing on its gameplay mechanics and modes. It highlights the game's sortie system, where you select a stage and engage in battles against knights with unique characteristics and machine part setups. Stage selection is done via a world map, with locations like Forgotten Temple and Jojoten Temple shown. The preview describes 2 battle styles: long-range combat utilizing rifles and magic, and close-range combat using swords and punches, with attacks adapting dynamically based on distance. The story mode is explained as a way to strengthen your machine by battling stage bosses, which then unlocks the stage for free battles against endless nameless enemies, perfect for material farming and preparing for the versus mode. The page mentions that the types of enemies are diverse, requiring players to adapt their fighting styles. It suggests mastering combat in story mode to prepare for versus battles. There's also a section detailing a lottery to win a frame guide demo disc for 50 people, requiring applicants to send a postcard with their details by June 30th to the provided address. Character profiles are showcased with names like Udorfo and the Manager, detailing their class and attributes, adding depth to the game's world and lore. The page effectively introduces Frame Guide as a mecha action game with strategic combat, progression, and a competitive element. This page is about the Dreamcast game Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 in Nippon Budokan. It highlights the game's training mode, which allows players to create their own wrestler. The page details the wrestler creation process in 2 steps. Step 1 is appearance selection, where players can combine 6 types of face parts and 3 basic body types to create an original wrestler. It mentions that extravagant costumes are not available at this stage. Step 2 is name entry, where players can name their wrestler using hiragana, katakana, English letters, symbols, and also decide on a catchphrase. The game features 3 wrestler types to choose from: standing wrestler type, which is balanced and good for striking and technical throws; damage wrestler type, which is powerful and durable; and technique wrestler type, specializing in submissions and grappling. The article states the game is 100% complete and scheduled for release by Sega on June 24th for 5,800 yen. It's a versus wrestling game supporting up to 4 players, runs on the Naomi arcade board, and has connectivity with the arcade version, and a giant channel which is linked to a VM. A message from the Maker section expresses confidence that players who have been waiting for a wrestling game on Dreamcast will be satisfied. It encourages players to raise their original characters and become a hero in game centers. The page also showcases screenshots of in-game action, including moves like the 32-count rocket kick and high-angle tiger driver. This page focuses on Kagemaru from the Japanese wrestling game Kakutugi, Pro Wrestling 2 Konretsuden 4, highlighting his speed-based fighting style and diverse range of attacks. The page lists Kagemaru's main techniques like leaf concealment, original throw, and delayed neck hanging, and recommends moves such as triangle tightening and arm folding crucifix lock. It also details specific moves like the rotating kick and Azuna drop, with screenshots showing them in action. The bottom section explains how to edit wrestlers and improve their skills through sparring in the game. The text details a wrestling game featuring Stan Hansen and Wolf Hochfield. It provides extensive lists of their respective moves. Stan Hansen's repertoire includes the lariat, elbow drop, and brainbuster, among many others, highlighting his power-based style. The text emphasizes Hansen's Western lariat and his connection to his fans through his attire. Wolf Hochfield, on the other hand, utilizes moves like the double claw and sleeper hold, but is less proficient in joint locks. He also uses moves like turbo drop I and II. His fighting style is also characterized by aerial techniques such as lacrosse. This page spotlights a wrestling game and focuses on two powerful wrestlers, Gary Albright and Johnny Ace. Gary Albright is described as the king of suplexes due to his versatile throwing techniques and destructive suplex variations. His move list includes powerful throws like the backdrop, stretch buster, and rolling German suplex, and his playstyle emphasizes overwhelming opponents with these techniques. The page highlights Albright's ability to transition into rope breaks when applying submissions. Johnny Ace is presented as a champion-level wrestler, known for his all-around fighting style that balances strikes, throws, and submissions. His signature moves include the Johnny Ace Cutter and Running Ace Crusher. The text recommends players utilize his combo attacks and focus on damaging the opponent's neck. Screenshots showcase both wrestlers performing various wrestling moves. This page is an interview with professional wrestler Kenta Kobashi as part of a series titled The Successors to the Royal Road. The interview is titled What I Thought When I Wanted to Run Away. Kobashi talks about his early career, influenced by Mike Tyson at the same age, and his initial anxieties and lack of confidence when he first entered the wrestling world. He mentions that his judo background wasn't very successful, but the desire to wrestle was strong. He speaks about wanting to quickly get into matches, and that was his motivation. He also answers a question about his wrestling ability, stating that he prefers people to watch and judge for themselves. A profile section gives details about Kenta Kobashi's birth date, birthplace, and wrestling debut, noting his achievements like winning the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship and forming the wrestling stable Burning. This page is about the wrestling game Giant Graham, featuring professional wrestler Kenta Kobashi. Kobashi discusses his moves being captured for the game and how it feels different from real wrestling, mentioning the importance of feeling the atmosphere in the ring. He talks about how his rivals are Vader and Mitsuharu Misawa, and how he hopes people new to wrestling will enjoy the game and become fans of professional wrestling. The page highlights Kobashi's signature moves like the lariat and moonsault press, with in-game screenshots. There's also a list of Kobashi's moves available in the game, including variations of chops, kicks, suplexes, slams, and his finishing moves, like the Orange Crush and Dragon Screw. The game aims to capture the dynamic and exciting nature of Kobashi's wrestling style for players to experience. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Maboroshi Tsukiyo, Phantom Moon Knight, a romance-adventure game developed by Sims and scheduled for release on September 15th. At 70% completion, the game is priced at 5,800 yen and requires 50 blocks of save data. It supports VM, Puru Pack, and VGA boxes. The scenario is described as a large-scale work exceeding 2,600 pages across 18 volumes. The depth of the content is said to be beyond a short novel, with expectations high for the voice actor performances. The page also highlights beautiful event images and charming characters from the game. It mentions that new event images and atelier backgrounds are being revealed, along with details about VM minigames. A section titled Genius Star Arrival Day features a poster of a world-renowned musical star named Christy Graham, who is admired by the character Rio. It mentions that Christy is 13 years old and has amazing talent, captivating audiences worldwide. There's a story about wanting to see Christie's performance in Nomachi and struggling to get tickets, even settling for just a poster. The page emphasizes that original illustrations and event images are being revealed to the public. Maboroshi Tsukiyo is a Dreamcast game featuring original character designs by Yasui Tajima, with slight differences observed between the initial art and in-game models of the characters Ayame and Minami. The game's opening introduces a protagonist who encounters a mysterious girl, leading to a life intertwined with ghosts and the impending disappearance of the girl. A VM minigame called Character Clock is in development, featuring characters displaying the time with anime quotes, events, and hidden passwords. Voice recording is underway with Yui Hori, Ayame, and Yuka Imai, Minami. Hori finds voicing a ghost unique, focusing on portraying Ayame's spectral awareness. Imai emphasizes the story's sadness and Minami's honesty. The voice actresses discuss their approaches to their roles, highlighting key aspects of the characters' personalities and relationships, and the page mentions some of their previous works. The voice recording process is progressing, indicating that the game's completion is nearing. This page is all about the upcoming Dreamcast game, The King of Fighters Dream Match, 1999. It's highlighting that this Dreamcast version will feature a massive roster of 38 characters from the entire King of Fighters series. The game is described as a Dreamcast exclusive fighting action title set for release on June 24th, with an estimated price of 5,800 yen. A key feature being promoted is the connectivity with the Neo Geo Pocket game, King of Fighters R2. Players can exchange data between the two games using a special Neo Geo Pocket to Dreamcast cable. This data transfer unlocks special bonuses in both games, including secret visuals and new techniques in Dream Match 1999. These new techniques even include super rare moves exclusive to the Dreamcast version, encouraging players to collect them all to create the ultimate fighter. The connection cable itself is also scheduled for release on June 24th and priced at 2,800 yen. This Guru Powers section features reader submissions covering diverse topics. Readers discuss upcoming robot announcements, reference Shenmue, and complain about slow internet. Baseball fans express enthusiasm for Yakutsuku and Shin Godzilla. One reader seeks advice on organizing Mega Drive games, leading to a staff clarification about Beep Mega Drive Magazine. This week's Outtake-chan introduces a new character design. A reader seeks a Dreamcast and hopes to win prizes with local coupons, prompting a humorous response. Other submissions include stories of a sister's return from India. Finally, the section introduces the Uzumaki sister and cat brother characters. Dorimi-chan, the practical sister, Kasti-kun, the romantic brother, and Poo-poo, the philosophical cat. Subsequent reader submissions cover school trips, love, and observations about a neighborhood cat. This page features endorsements for Dreamcast Magazine from various personalities, showcased through caricatures and short quotes. There's a section called Natsu Game Museum, which reviews retro games, highlighting Fighting Vipers for Sega Saturn, praising its fast-paced action, and comparing it to Sonic. It also briefly mentions Retstar, the shooting star for Mega Drive, emphasizing its wire action mechanics. The page also includes an illustration garden section, with the summer theme for character submissions. Scattered around the lower half of the page are reader-submitted game illustrations, including Sunrise Ayutan, showing a Gundam RX-78 unit, Mortal Kombat Gold, noting its rarity and potential Japanese release, Gusuri Onsen, Daikaiju Monogatari, Road Kirari Koyuri, and Kita-e, highlighting the popularity of its illustrations. Finally, there is an illustration of a muscular character named Chai, as part of the illustration garden section, with suggestive text related to it. This page showcases the Howie Theater comic and a reader Q&A section called Cat is Asking. The Q&A segment addresses reader questions about games and music. It mentions the Dreamcast startup music is by Ryuichi Sakamoto. Games like Noise Gear, Magical Hoppers by Kuhei Takahashi, the Earthbound series, and Real Sound by Keiichi Suzuki are listed. Also mentioned are Game Ball Screen, Digital Dance Mix Secret Agency, Ghost in the Shell, Runabout, and Sky Fantasy 2, all associated with Takyu Ishino. One humorous question asks, what is PC? Which is clarified as referring to personal computer. Below this section are game screenshots and character art labeled by prefecture, hinting at character designs or setting, including games with characters reminiscent of Chun-Li, futuristic designs, knightly figures, insect robots, and cartoonish styles, some even referencing pop sen music. This page is a fan mail section called Cosmo Garden, with reader submissions and illustrations. The Saturn Person's Forest section features a character drawing and expresses thanks to fans for their support, highlighting the president and Saturn Pride. There are messages and drawings from fans in different prefectures expressing support and love for the Cosmo president. Game titles mentioned include Street Fighter Alpha 3, referred to as 03 and 3, Silhouette Mirage, Falcom Classics, Christmas Nights, and Fighting Vipers. The page also includes submission guidelines for readers wanting to contribute to the section, with illustrations and texts, and mentions Tokyo Original Goods and Dreamcast software as potential gifts for contributors. The overall tone is lighthearted and appreciative of fan engagement with the magazine. This page is an advertisement from the store B1, which sells Dreamcast and other games. Featured are upcoming Dreamcast game releases like Frame Gride and the wrestling game Tukon Retsuden 4, both for 6,800 yen and 5,800 yen respectively. The page lists a schedule of newly released and upcoming titles for PlayStation and Dreamcast, including games like Dino Crisis, Blade Runner, and Persona 2. There is a section listing various Dreamcast peripherals and their prices, such as controllers and memory cards. The advert also highlights special offers, like receiving a postcard for buying FOG products, and mentions pre-order bonuses. Finally, it lists prices for various game consoles available at the store, including Dreamcast, Neo Geo Pocket Color, Game Boy Color, and Nintendo 64. This article from Weekly Reading Material Planning page Bad Habit, Volume 28 Bad Habits, explores the differences between popular and unpopular male otaku, as observed by editor Koyatagaya Yako. The article contrasts nice otaku, Mr. A or Steki-san, with creepy otaku, Mr. B or Kimochi Warui-kun. Steki-san is presented as considerate, hygienic, and socially aware, even if he isn't conventionally attractive. Conversely, Kimochi Warui-kun is depicted as lacking personal hygiene, being inconsiderate of others' interests, and using inappropriate language. Email examples further illustrate the contrast in communication styles, showcasing Steki-san's professionalism versus Kimochi Warui-kun's informality. The core message emphasizes that basic human decency, respect for others, and self-awareness are key to a positive otaku image. The page includes illustrations of the two archetypes and information about author Hitoshi Nimura, who invites reader feedback. This page features a column discussing the difficulty of the game Dynamite Deca 2, known internationally as Die Hard Arcade 2. The author expresses frustration with the game's high difficulty, particularly with enemies who are very strong and quick to kill the player, wondering why they don't drop their weapons. The writer humorously questions if the enemy's weapons are glued to their hands with superglue. Another section discusses the concept of GPS being used in games. It mentions that GPS systems allow players to know their location on Earth using satellites, and that this technology has become possible due to 6 orbital planes 20,000 kilometers high. The article mentions a conversation with a game shop owner in Akihabara about GPS applications in games, noting that while car navigation systems use GPS, game shops haven't fully adopted it yet. The article then discusses the idea of GPS-enabled watches and how they could be used in games, suggesting ideas like RPGs, where experience points are gained by visiting real-world locations marked on a map, and fishing games, where best scores are tracked based on fishing locations. The author imagines action sea games, where players navigate across the Pacific Ocean using GPS and satellite phones. This page from Samsung Yoshimatsu Theater is titled 11,900 yen exactly volume. It's a comic strip depicting a scenario around a very low-priced game. The comic highlights the game's low price of 11,900 yen, emphasizing it's a bargain. The characters are excited about this price and the game's capabilities, with slogans like Defeat PlayStation and Spec Battle suggesting it is directly competing with Sony's PlayStation, possibly in terms of specs or price-performance ratio. The game is referred to as Onyumi no Miko and is presented as a powerful contender. Even the creator, Samsung Yoshimatsu, is depicted as surprised by the low price. The bottom text introduces Samsung Yoshimatsu, born in 1965, as a robot contest and pro wrestling enthusiast, and mentions his work as production director for the TV show Jubei-chan the Ninja Girl. This page is an advertisement for the Get Bass Fishing Guidebook. It boasts being the definitive guide to mastering Get Bass, which was released internationally as Sega Bass Fishing. The guidebook includes system and game mode explanations, area strategies, lure analysis, and special interviews to help players fully conquer the game. It is an A5 size, 96-page, full-color book, priced at 1,200 yen plus tax. This page is an anime news section highlighting the Master Keaton anime series. It announces the release of the complete 24 TV episodes, along with 15 new episodes across 13 volumes on video and LD from June 21st. The page details the staff and cast for Master Keaton, including director, series composition, music, and voice actors for key characters like Keaton Taichi Hiraga, Abdullah Abbas, Abdullah's subordinate, and Professor Takakura of the staff. The story chapter .25 inches section describes the plot of episode 25, Desert Carlman, where Keaton joins a Taklamakan desert excavation team and faces challenges. The topics OVA soft section promotes You're Under Arrest special, mentioning it was broadcast on TBS and is being released on video, LD, and DVD on July 25th, with new opening and ending sequences and new eye-catch animations. It's a 6-volume series, with each volume containing 4 episodes. Finally, there's a present section about a non-selling poster giveaway of You're Under Arrest, special to 10 people, with application details and a deadline of June 30th. June 1999 anime releases include several OVAs and TV series. On June 25th, releases include OVA Z-Mind Volume 5, TV series Sorceress Stabber Orphan Volume 6, Akihabara Denu Gumi, Volume 7, Eat Man 98 3 inches, Silent Mobius 07, Super Doll Licca-chan, Step Point 7, Battle Athletes Victory Track 1346, and Saber Marionette JDVD Memorial Box 1. Pet Shop of Horrors, Song of Wu Delicious is already available. OVA Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story Remembrance Arc, Act 3 releases on June 19th. Sky Perfect TV will air Armored Trooper Votoms on Animax starting June 11th. DirecTV will air the remake of Raideen the Brave on Animax Theater X, also starting June 11th. This page features Omi's column, Omi in Wonderland, highlighting her latest activities and thoughts. Omi mentions it's getting hot outside, but the studio is cold. She promotes her CD MUI Land Volume 3, which was released for sale between January 8th to 29th. The CD jacket is described as gorgeous and fourfold, and purchasing volumes 1 to 3 includes a special telecard present. There is also an announcement for an event on June 6th related to the MUI Land Volume 3 CD release at the Omi's Illustration Room. Live. This event is for the internet TV show MUI Kingdom, and will feature autograph sessions and merchandise sales. Omi shares a daily life story about ordering food at a restaurant and being forgotten, illustrating her patient nature. She also welcomes letters and questions from readers, encouraging them to write about their game experiences, daily life, and character discussions. Finally, a profile section details Omi's voice acting roles, including Eureka Misumaru in Martian Successor Nadesico, Mag in Evolution, Mayor Sakuramachi in Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, and her current roles in television anime, like Shimajiro and Ojarumaru. This page is Takemoto Izumi's bi-weekly column, titled Iroiro Desu. It starts with previous story, mentioning a request related to the Monster Collection card game, and illustration requests. The column then talks about requests received, including Goblin and Bad Bird characters. There's a discussion about a story based on Nixon's visit to China, and the story about Peking duck. The column mentions being broadcast on NHKBS during spring break, and expresses disappointment that Cottonland was not made into a DVD. There is a mention of wanting music to be re-released on CD. The column title is repeated as Iroiro Desu number 13 Aru Hino card game Mata Live. Later it mentions receiving another request for a Moncall Knight new set. The column mentions that units are full, implying a busy schedule, and requests patience. It talks about a previous apology and a request to draw girls next time, and sends a rough draft featuring girls behind Ji-chan characters. The final panel shows a character being surprised and asking, "What is okay?" Bottom text is related to fan letters to Takemoto Izumi, and mentions that the new magazine for the company is scheduled to launch in June. It jokes about girls at home causing delays. This page is a column called Black Ore, Beat Lag K Ore, by Fumio Kurokawa, focusing on the E3 show. Kurokawa reports on the current state of the game industry and the next-generation console wars. He discusses Nintendo and Matsushida's new consoles, with Nintendo's Dolphin console, known as GameCube internationally, being a key topic, noting its Mario and IBM tag and Gecko CPU. He humorously mentions the American perception of this console launch. Pokemon's immense popularity is highlighted with anecdotes of a Pikachu car at Los Angeles Airport promoting the brand. The column then touches on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace and its associated games, including Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Other games mentioned as being showcased at E3 include Donkey Kong 64 on Nintendo 64 and Resident Evil Code Veronica, known as Biohazard Code Veronica in Japan, for Dreamcast. Kurokawa expresses surprise at the presence of TigersGame.com at the show. The article also mentions Sega's announcement of a new lower price for the Dreamcast at $199.99. He describes the atmosphere of E3 as a mix of excitement and business dealings, with parties and meetings between game magazine editors and software developers. The column concludes by hinting at future discussions about the ongoing console wars. There is a photo of Kurokawa with someone dressed as a gorilla, labeled as a Gorilla Two-Shot. This article reflects on several topics. It begins with a discussion of the Nintendo 64 game Super Smash Bros., emphasizing the fun and positive competitive spirit it fosters compared to games focused on villains. The author then explores philosophical questions about good, evil, justice, and usefulness in the context of gaming and life. The page also promotes the Hey Dance Company's The Light of My Heart 2 Inches performance. The section titled This Week's Tascam Porta 1 highlights the author's experience with the Tascam Porta 1 multi-track recorder and its role in their early music production. The profile section introduces a game composer from Matsumoto City, Nagano Prefecture, known for their work on titles like Grandia and Lunar, as well as music for stage productions and Tokyo Disneyland. Finally, this week's Paradise Snap features a photo from Lake Suwa, with the author sharing their enjoyment of a hot spring there. This is a reader questionnaire for a gaming magazine. Readers are asked to use a black pen or pencil and write clearly within boxes. The questionnaire collects demographic information, gender, age, school/occupation, and gathers data on magazine readership, opinions on the current issue, and reasons for submitting the questionnaire. It also asks about satisfaction with Dreamcast console pricing, the number of Dreamcast software titles owned, and interest in specific articles. Further sections ask about hardware owned and planned purchases for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn, and desired software for both consoles. Detailed lists of hardware and software are provided within tables for reference. This page is an advertisement for SoftBank Professional Books, targeting gamers aspiring to become game creators. It showcases a variety of books focused on 3D graphics and design software, such as 3D Studio Max, Lightwave 3D, Softimage 3D, Photoshop, and Poser, designed to help readers develop their skills in character creation and game development. The books cover topics like creature workshops, photorealism tools, animation, modeling, materials, and effects. This page is an article previewing the RPG game Climax Landers for the Sega Dreamcast. It is an RPG from Sega scheduled for release on July 15th, priced at 5,800 yen, and supports the visual memory and VGA box. The article introduces the character Lady, who is described as a chaotic protagonist from the Super Famicom game Lady Stalker: Challenge to Survival, known for her powerful abilities. It questions how the protagonist, Sword, will deal with her. The page also mentions a minigame campaign, where players can collect tokens from Supuri Daku IV minigames, and encourages players to collect them before the release date. The page features screenshots showcasing the game's characters and environments, including Lady in action using her whip and boomerang. The next page is about Time Stalkers, known in Japan as Climax Land. This Dreamcast RPG features a mosaic world made up of various pieces from different eras. The game's mystery revolves around who created this world and the role of the Master. The story follows Sword, who aims to solve the mystery of the mosaic world and return to his original world. He initially encounters a figure known as the Master, but later, due to events involving Merlin, the seal on the central piece is broken, allowing Sword to meet the Master again, who was sealed away. It's hinted that Merlin might be responsible for summoning heroes and creating this world. The game involves exploring dungeons, collecting pieces, and recruiting companions. Only one person can enter a dungeon at a time for adventure. The pieces that make up the mosaic world have disparate cultures and eras, forming parallel worlds where the history of Climax games are connected. The page highlights different pieces, including a God Beast piece, a Fuji Sea Village piece reminiscent of 80s Japan, and a mysterious character named Reason like Mr. Wire, who appears in new pieces. Dreamcast Magazine introduces a monster collecting RPG, where players become monster masters. Players explore dungeons solo, but can team up with up to 2 capsule monsters they capture. Gameplay focuses on capturing monsters with the capture skill, managing their capsules, and strategically using them in battles. Monster loyalty varies, and emotions are visually indicated. The game features 4 monster types: Managa, intelligent; Burglar, agile; Armo, strong; and Laura, defensive. Friendly monsters can avoid fights, while strategic monster selection and battle tactics are crucial for success. This preview highlights monster training, battles, and exploration, offering a glimpse into the game's core mechanics. This page is focused on monster raising in the Dreamcast game Jade Cocoon, Story of Tamayu. The headline encourages players to nurture monsters to become strong companions. The page details several key features: the Monster House, where monsters can be registered and stored, and even mini-games can be downloaded. Monster registration allows naming and registering monsters, while the Church is where monsters that die in battle can be resurrected, but only registered monsters can be revived. There's also Monster Release option. The page highlights that monsters can learn skills and magic as they grow stronger. It introduces Dr. Anna, a scientist from the Future Colony piece who studies biotechnology and spiritual science, contrasting her with Dr. Allen. She seems to be involved with the monster research. 4 types of monsters are showcased with brief descriptions. Skull, an undead type that uses poison and can revive. Heavy Knight, a heavily armored type excelling in defense. Stone, a heavy type with strong attacks but often acting alone. And Watchdog, a bloodthirsty wild dog type with sharp teeth as weapons, described as cunning and fierce. The overall tone suggests this game focuses on collecting and training monsters to fight alongside the player. This page introduces Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team, which focuses on building a professional baseball team during the off-season. The article details the Stove League, or off-season events in baseball management simulation games. The schedule for the off-season is outlined, starting at the end of October with annual title announcements, moving through November with retirements, staff appointments, and the draft meeting. December includes free agency declarations, contract renewals, entry tests, and annual report cards. January features the announcement of the new team structure and VIP seat sales. The page highlights annual baseball awards for both pitching and batting departments, as well as Rookie of the Year and MVP awards, showing examples of past winners and discussing strategies to aim for these awards. Screenshots showcase in-game interfaces that seem to display player statistics and rankings related to these awards in the game. This game appears to be part of the Professional Baseball Team Otsukuru series, also known as Yakutsuku in Japan, a baseball management simulation franchise that was not released outside of Japan. This page is about the Dreamcast game Pro Yaku Dreamcast. It details the in-game events that occur in November, focusing on retirement, staff appointments, and the draft meeting. The retirement section explains that players will retire due to physical limitations, and that in November, players close to retirement age will be presented with the option to retire. A retirement ceremony will be held for players who meet certain conditions. The staff personnel section covers staff changes for the upcoming season, which are decided in November. It mentions reviewing current staff, including coaches and scouts, and renewing or changing contracts. There are screenshots of staff contract negotiation screens showing staff names, contract years, and salaries. The draft meeting section describes the draft meeting as a major event in the Stoppable League. It explains that during the draft, teams select new players. If multiple teams select the same player, a lottery, Kuji, determines who gets the negotiation rights. There are screenshots of the draft lottery process and the results. It mentions that even if a team wins the lottery, the player's entry is not guaranteed, and negotiation with the player is still required. The page also briefly touches on negotiating with new players, suggesting the importance of building a good relationship with them by using different conversation options like power talking, small talk, worry listening, and future guarantees to improve their impression of the team and secure their signing. This page is about baseball team management simulation on Dreamcast, detailing aspects of player acquisition and team building. It covers 3 main sections: FA declaration, contract renewal, and entrance test. The FA declaration section explains free agency, highlighting it as a chance to acquire ready-to-play regular players from other teams if you have enough funds for contract money and transfer fees. It mentions that FA declarations are not limited to other teams' players. The contract renewal section discusses determining player salaries for the upcoming season. It mentions negotiating contract renewals with players and choosing salary levels. The entrance test section explains that in December, you can conduct entrance tests to recruit create-a-player characters and free agents from other teams. It highlights that entrance tests are a way to acquire players cheaper than FA, but player quality might vary, so careful evaluation of test results is advised. The page also features a player name guess quiz section, the 6th round of the quiz, asking, "Who do you know?" and showing cartoon baseball players numbered 1 to 6. Throughout the page, screenshots of the game are shown, featuring menus and player profiles with stats and contract information, demonstrating the different aspects of team management within the game. This page from the magazine discusses elements of a baseball management simulation game. It details the yearly player review process, where player performance from March to October is evaluated by the owner. It also mentions the formation of a new team in January, emphasizing the importance of checking other teams' player movements. The page highlights VIP seating sales as a way to generate income during the off-season, offering annual reserve seats for 100,000 yen and suggesting careful consideration of pricing and seat availability. Finally, it announces the start of camp in February, indicating the beginning of the next season.
At the bottom, there is a quiz asking about players and their teams. The players listed are 1. Yokohama, 2. Chunichi, 3. Giants, 4. Nippon Ham, 5. Yakult, 6. Hiroshima, 7. Seibu, 8. Yomiuri Giants, 9. Oryx, 10. Daiei, 11. Kintetsu, and 12. Lotte.
This page is about the game Buggy Heat, focusing on its unique driver training function. This new feature allows players to train their own AI driver by recording their driving data. The AI will learn from the player's style, allowing for races against your own AI, and the data can be exchanged online to race against other players' AI drivers. The game is described as offering a different kind of racing experience compared to traditional racing games. The screenshots highlight the car selection menu, in-game racing action, and the mode select screen showcasing options like championship, time attack, and versus AI. It mentions that the game is nearing completion at 100% and is scheduled for release in July. It also notes that it supports racing controllers, off-road racing, and VGA output for 2 players. This page is a preview of a driver training mode for a Dreamcast racing game, though the game title is not clearly stated in English here. It details a driver training mode that allows players to train an AI driver. The page breaks down the process into simple steps, like selecting your car and then driving in time attack mode to gather driving data. This data is then used in an AI mode to check the AI driver's level and see its progress. The article mentions different game modes, such as championship mode, where you compete against 7 AI opponents, and VS mode for 2-player versus races, or races against the AI using the trained driver data. Screenshots showcase the game's interface for car selection, tuning settings, and the AI level checking system. It emphasizes that this mode helps players create their ultimate AI driver by repeatedly driving and saving data. It also touches upon car customization options like tuning and painting. This page is a guide on how to develop your driver data in the racing game Buggy Heat, known internationally as 4x4 Evolution. The guide explains how to nurture your driver by first choosing your machine, then customizing it with tuning, stickers, and paint. It emphasizes using time attack mode to run courses repeatedly, as this allows you to improve your driving data. The guide highlights the importance of saving your best lap data to track progress. It also points out that different cars and drivers have different growth rates. Cars like the Tricky Diamond, Drank Schenker, and Schwartz Spiegel, along with drivers such as David Terada, Calvin Stewart, and Alfred Gingham are mentioned, alongside others like the Avalanche and Kairos Liner. The guide recommends running at least 2 laps in time attack to gather sufficient data, as 1 lap might not fully capture acceleration performance, and to focus on practicing courses you find challenging to improve your overall driver data. The next page details the AI mode in the racing game Buggy Heat, which later was released internationally as 4x4 Evolution. This mode allows players to simulate and train AI drivers. You can load driving data and test the AI's performance using a level checker. The game shows how training improves the AI, with before training and after training screenshots demonstrating faster lap times and improved driving lines. It also features driver profiles like Sylvie Borg piloting the Scarlet Moon and Henry Magai piloting the Combat Anchor, each with unique characteristics influencing performance. The page mentions that by training the AI drivers, players can aim for championship domination. It also highlights that even in the demo version, player data can be saved and trained. This page is a preview of Street Fighter 03, known as Street Fighter Alpha 3 in international territories, for the Dreamcast console. The feature being showcased is the Saikyoryu Dojo mode, which is accessible through the network mode. This mode allows players to upload and register characters they have trained in the World Tour mode, referred to as or ISM characters, to compete online. The page describes the Saikyoryu Dojo menu, where players can register their characters, and suggests choosing characters with high abilities if multiple options are available. At the time of this preview, the game was 90% complete. The release date for the Dreamcast version was set for July 8th, and the Saturn version for August 5th. The Dreamcast version was priced at 5,800 yen. The Saturn version had two options: the standalone software also for 5,800 yen, and a bundle including a 4 MB RAM expansion cartridge priced at 7,800 yen. The Dreamcast version is compatible with the Rumble Pack, while the Saturn version mandates a 4 MB RAM cartridge. The Dreamcast version of Street Fighter 03 features an enhanced World Tour mode, allowing players to develop their chosen character through world travel and battles. This mode offers deep gameplay with customizable or ISM characters, each with unique fighting styles. ISM PLS abilities are also amplified, providing strategic depth. Players engage in stage certification battles to further their character's progression. The game provides a stage certification battle menu listing opponents and encourages mock battles before the actual challenge. Defeating preset characters unlocks downloadable stage characters distributed weekly. The text emphasizes ranking up and adapting strategies as opponents become stronger, requiring effective use of special abilities. The game promotes online play. This page reveals the game modes of the Sega Saturn version of Street Fighter 03, highlighting how the game modes from other platforms are included with added original elements. The game modes listed in the mode menu are Arcade Mode, VS Mode, Training Mode, World Tour, Entry Mode, Team Battle, Survival Mode, Dramatic Battle, Final Battle, and Option Mode. The page describes Arcade Mode as a recreation of the arcade version, with added story demos for home console original characters like Fei Long, DJ, T-Hawk, Guile, and others. It mentions that all hidden modes from other versions are available from the start. VS Mode is explained as for human versus human battles, contrasting Arcade Mode, which is for CPU battles. It also notes that characters raised in World Tour mode can be used in VS Mode. World Tour mode is detailed as a mode where you travel the world for training and raise original characters, presumably referring to ISM customization. It mentions special conditions where normal CPU battles are different and tactics are required, allowing you to acquire experience points, level up, learn special abilities, and combine them freely. The bottom of the page mentions SS Other Hardware Expansion 4M RAM, indicating the game uses the 4 MB RAM cartridge for Sega Saturn. This page focuses on Street Fighter Alpha 3, known as Street Fighter 03 in Japan, for the Dreamcast, highlighting the game modes available. It details modes such as Team Battle, where you select 1 to 3 characters, Survival Mode, where you fight continuously with limited health, Dramatic Battle for 2 players co-op against enemies, and Training Mode for practicing moves against a non-moving CPU. Further modes mentioned include Final Battle Mode, Entry Mode, which uses characters trained in World Tour mode, and options for game settings. The page emphasizes that all modes from the Sega Saturn version are fully reproduced and enhanced for the Dreamcast, including VS Mode, Arcade Mode, and World Tour mode. Screenshots showcase gameplay action and menus for Training Mode, VS Mode, and Arcade Mode. The page headline boasts about utilizing the complete original elements of the game and emphasizes the SS flow. This page is the contents page for the 3rd issue of GM Magazine. It highlights several features, including a long interview with Masami Yamada from MediaWorks discussing game media, a feature about the character business in games focusing on popular characters like those in Pocket Monsters, Pokemon, and a feature on game development ideologies exploring the creative process of game creators. There's a special section mentioning that the Sega Saturn is currently interesting, discussing Silent Hill and highlighting a book that delves into the game industry. The GM Recommend section lists several games, such as Jake Hunter, Memories of the Past, Power Pro Kun Pocket, Remember My Heart, a Microman game likely related to Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, a game called Raishingu, and Grandia. The cover image features the word character and seems to be related to the game character feature. This page showcases artwork of a character encased in a mechanical suit, likely from a Dreamcast game, and is presented as part of a Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide. The page highlights 2 games with page number references. First is Dynamite Deca 2, known internationally as Dynamite Cop, listed for page 108. The second game is Elemental Gimmick Gear, or EGG, for page 112. This page is a strategy guide for Dynamite Cop, known as Die Hard Arcade 2 in other regions. It focuses on the Caribbean pirate arc of the game, and provides tips for progressing through different scenes and boss encounters. Scene 1 highlights the swimsuit costume in the game, and mentions that upon completing Scene 1, the swimsuit is unfortunately lost. It advises picking up the forklift weapon available on the left side of the screen, which can be used to defeat enemies and even kick them when knocked down. Scene 2 focuses on a rocket kick technique. It suggests anticipating enemy attacks and using a powerful kick, K button, to defeat them, particularly mentioning it's effective against all enemies except Bruno. It advises dashing into enemies after defeating the initial wave. Scene 3 warns about the anti-tank rifle and advises caution. It mentions that during this scene, enemies might initially not move much, allowing players to utilize machine guns effectively, especially if carried over from the previous Scene 2. It recommends using machine guns and anti-tank rifles to defeat enemies. The boss section introduces the pirate couple boss fight, Captain Cuckoo and Madame Yan. It describes them as appearing as bosses in various missions, and highlights them as a challenging 2-person boss encounter. It suggests using powerful weapons like anti-tank missiles to defeat them. It also notes that machine guns are effective against enemies, and that utilizing the anti-tank rifle dropped by enemies is a good strategy. This Dynamite Cop, Die Hard Arcade, strategy guide focuses on Mission 3, Stage 2, Inside Ship. The guide breaks the stage down into scenes, offering gameplay tips. Scene 1, Juice or Drink, covers the elevator lobby, emphasizing environmental weapons and machine gun pickups. Scene 2, Build Up, in the fitness club, suggests using iron pipes, exercise bikes, and barbells as weapons. Scene 3, Dining in the Restaurant, in the ship's restaurant, highlights meat buns for health and bows arrows. The guide culminates in a boss fight against Chinese cook Chaos Tan Min, one of the Cook Trio brothers. It details his attacks, utilizing kitchen items, and recommends punch, kick combos, and dash attacks. A sub-story, Runaway Caroline, is also included, which details the president's daughter's escape attempts, and if the terrorists are incompetent. This page details a time attack contest for a game mode called 100-Person Kumite, within the game KG2 or Detective 2, which was not released outside of Japan. The page explains the rules and objectives of the 100-Person Kumite time attack contest and shows screenshots of the casino stage. The aim is to clear the stage as quickly as possible. The page suggests the casino, restaurant, and kitchen courses as suitable stages for the time attack. The target time for the casino stage is 1 minute 50 seconds, for the restaurant stage 6 minutes 60 seconds, and for the kitchen stage 12 minutes. The page also features a section on item usage, with tips on how to use different weapons in the game like handgun, machine gun, magazine, grenade, 3-shot bazooka, laser gun, anti-tank rifle, water gun, and arrows, explaining their functions and button controls within KG2. This page details character-specific fighting strategies for the Dreamcast game Dynamite Cop, known as Dynamite Deca in Japan. It introduces 3 playable characters, Bruno, Jean, and Eddie, outlining their basic combat styles and special moves. Bruno excels at throws and weapon handling, making him beginner-friendly. Jean is described as the throw expert, capable of a 13-hit throw combo, while Eddie is highlighted for his powerful striking combos, especially his kick combos in normal state. The page explains different types of in-game items, throwable objects like bins and refrigerators, striking objects like mannequins and mic stands, and weapons like pepper spray and insecticide. It also details life-up items such as capsules, bottles, and first aid kits that restore health, and power-up items, where collecting 5 P icons or 1 S icon enables a special state. The page gives gameplay tips for dealing with specific enemies like the 2-handed machine gun enemies, and the Pantsman enemies, and also the boss characters, known as Pirate Couple. For the machine gun enemies, it is recommended to approach and attack, while for the Pirate Couple boss, it is advised to evade their fast charge attacks with step movements. This page is a strategy guide for Elemental Gimmick Gear, also known as EGG. It offers a walkthrough for the early stages of the game, concentrating on the locations of essential items. The guide features a list of items to acquire in sequence and their map locations, such as E-tanks, M-capsules, and D-capsules, found in places like Faye's Junk Shop and the Factory. There is also a Q&A section addressing player questions about the game up to this point, and screenshots that illustrate gameplay and item locations. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Prisoner of Ice, a horror-adventure game. The guide focuses on levels 1F and 2F of the EGG Factory, providing a map layout with labeled sections from A to F.
It details item locations such as capsules, access chips, and E-tanks, and describes how to obtain them within the level. New enemy types are introduced with their stats and behaviors. Bombborn, a slow-moving explosive enemy. Warhead, a weapon-carrying enemy with low attack power. And Monovision, a fixed turret-type enemy that can be ignored. The guide offers step-by-step instructions for navigating the factory, collecting items, and progressing through the level, mentioning switches, conveyors, and rotating gears needed to advance. The next page is a strategy guide for an action-adventure game, focusing on obtaining items before heading to the Fanya area, specifically on Fanya B1F, Basement 1 floor. It highlights 7 essential items to collect: waterproof, transporter, D-capsule, A-capsule, skill ROM, sub-tank, and M-capsule, providing detailed instructions and screenshots to locate them. The page also introduces new enemies, such as Skater, Spocker, Double Edge, and Crimson Bug, giving their stats and combat tips. Lastly, a combat guide section advises players on how to efficiently recover energy by exploiting the respawning Double Edge enemies in Area C. The gameplay seems to involve exploration, puzzle solving, and combat, utilizing mechanics like spin dash. The game title is not explicitly stated, but appears to be a Japanese-only release based on the page's language. This page is a strategy guide page for the Dreamcast game Fanya, focusing on the Basement 1 floor, B1F, level. The page provides a map of the level marked with letters and numbers, indicating locations of items. It gives instructions on how to navigate the level after defeating the boss Tantarm, in order to acquire specific items. These items include an E-tank, vacuum cleaner, M-capsule, A-capsule, and plasma stone. Screenshots at the bottom of the page show gameplay and details about obtaining certain items. The guide gives directions using the map locations to find these power-ups and items within Fanya B1F level. The next page is a Dreamcast Magazine article providing perfect strategy guides for 3D boss battles. It specifically focuses on 2 boss battles, Metal Golem and Tantum. The article, titled 3D Boss Battle Perfect Strategy, highlights freeze laser is the key to strategy. For Metal Golem, the strategy involves using freeze laser when EGG is at a distance and shooting fireballs. The article advises against guarding and emphasizes movement and attack timing. It suggests using spin dash repeatedly, around 7 times, then backing off and repeating. The developer interview section features Fujito Fumihiro, who explains that Metal Golem is designed to be easily defeated once the concept is understood, which involves stopping its movement with freeze laser and then attacking with punches or spin dash. He notes that destroying obstacles might be risky. For Tantum, described as a strange personality boss, the strategy is to aim for critical hits. The article mentions that Tantum initially had a different design. It advises using warp and aiming for the core when it opens up to deliver critical hits with flameball. The developer interview section features Sugibayashi Masatoshi, who talks about the Tantum's Shadow Warrior form and how its color changes as its health decreases, which may be difficult to notice. He advises using flameball immediately when Tantum appears. The article concludes that understanding the boss's weaknesses leads to victory. This page is about EGG and features a character named Zach Offrey, who is a bounty hunter. Zach, aged 24 in the year 1434 of the Tokyo Imperial Calendar, was once an EGG fighter, but quit due to his dissatisfaction with the safe and regulated nature of EGG fights. After running out of money, he became a bounty hunter, targeting criminals who pilot EGG mecha. The article details a specific case. Case 3, Bounty Hunter Zach Offrey. Case. It describes how Zack takes on a bounty for Giltis Bibal, a criminal who uses EGG mecha for violent crimes. Zack uses his custom EGG called Phantom to pursue and confront Giltis. The article narrates their encounter in a ruined city, where Zack outmaneuvers and defeats Giltis, highlighting Zack's skills and ruthless approach as a bounty hunter. The page includes character art of Zack Offrey, depicting him as a rugged bounty hunter, and illustrations of his mecha, the Phantom, alongside Giltis's EGG unit. There are action scenes illustrated showing the combat between their mecha. It sets the scene for a gritty bounty hunting narrative within the EGG universe.
This page is showcasing the thrilling arcade racing game, F355 Challenge, a real driving simulator powered by the Naomi arcade board. The page highlights the game's intense realism, calling it the proof of the prancing horse, in reference to the Ferrari brand. Developed with professional racing drivers in mind, F355 Challenge aims to be a serious simulation of Ferrari racing. The page features in-game screenshots to demonstrate the graphical capabilities and immersive gameplay, and also includes specifications of the real-world Ferrari F355 Berlinetta to give context to the game's simulation aspects. The text emphasizes the popularity of Ferrari and the F355 Challenge race series in Japan, which began in 1996 and is known for being a one-make race using F355 cars equipped with challenge kits. The F355 Challenge arcade game is praised for its immersive experience, particularly its large cabinet. The game features four main highlights: a 3-monitor setup providing a wide field of view, realistic controls including a steering wheel, paddle shifters, and a pedal setup designed for heel and toe techniques, as well as a realistic 6-speed shifter, adjustable assist options for difficulty customization, and a data analysis feature that allows players to print driving data. Yu Suzuki, the game's creator, emphasizes the team's focus on replicating the feel of the accelerator, brake, and clutch pedals, along with the steering and shift feel, to create an authentic driving experience. This page is a guide to selecting your level and game mode in a racing simulator, most likely F355 Challenge. Step 1 explains level select, detailing novice, intermediate, and simulator levels, each with different initial assist settings and shift operations ranging from automatic transmission to stick shift. It also explains the various driving assist features available, such as stability control, traction control, anti-lock brakes, and intelligent brake system, and how they affect gameplay. Step 2 covers game mode selection, highlighting 3 modes.
Training mode, which provides a guideline to follow. Free run mode for practicing freely, and race mode for competing against computer-controlled opponents. The page emphasizes that beginners should start with training mode, and that all assist features can be toggled on or off during gameplay.
This page is focused on racing game tracks, detailing the Twin Ring Motegi Superspeedway and Autodromo Nazionale Monza. The Twin Ring Motegi Superspeedway is described as the first authentic oval course in Japan, primarily used for kart, NASCAR, and other American racing events. The course data states it's 1.549 miles, about 2.4 kilometers, in length, and located in Tochigi Prefecture. It's highlighted as a modern oval course, completed in 1997, with turns 3 and 4 being considered challenging. The screenshots show in-game views of this oval track. The Autodromo Nazionale Monza is described as a sacred ground for Ferrari fans, known as Monza. It's located within Monza Park near Milan, Italy, and is a historical high-speed circuit dating back to 1922. The course data indicates it is 5.770 kilometers in length. The description notes it's a high-speed course with straights and chicanes, where hard braking is crucial, making it more challenging than it appears. The screenshots show in-game views of the Monza circuit, featuring trees surrounding the track and the iconic Monza layout. The page emphasizes the realistic recreation of these real-world racing circuits in the game, suggesting it is superior to previous racing games in terms of representing the courses accurately. It mentions that these 6 courses in total are featured in the F355 Challenge. This racing game features 2 tracks: Sportsland Sugo in Japan and Long Beach in California. Sportsland Sugo is a 3.7 kilometers technical course known for its undulating layout and challenging low/medium speed corners, requiring precise car control. The final corner is key for gaining speed on the straight. Long Beach, a 2.5 kilometers Monaco of the West Coast, is a high-speed street course with tight corners and no runoff areas. Its layout, featuring limited track width and hairpin turns, makes it demanding, with the potential for frequent car-to-car contact. Passing is best done on the straights. Mistakes on both courses are heavily punished, highlighting the simulator's emphasis on realistic racing. This page focuses on the Suzuka International Racing Course in the game F355 Challenge, a faithful recreation of the 5.864 kilometers track located in Mie Prefecture, Japan. The challenging circuit features a unique figure-8 layout and is renowned for its technical sections, enjoyed by F1 drivers. The page also describes the shorter East course, used for touring car races, ideal for skill development. An interview with Yu Suzuki reveals the team's dedication to accuracy, including on-site visits for detailed photography and driving experiences. The game features 5 tracks, with meticulous attention to detail in corner radii, elevation changes, and even a dynamic weather system. Screenshots highlight the realistic depiction of Suzuka, including iconic features like the Dunlop corner and the in-car perspective, showcasing the authentic experience. This page is dedicated to the arcade game Idol Janshi Suchi Pai 2i, which is described as a popular title returning after 5 years. It's a strip mahjong game from Jaleco, scheduled for release in arcades around July or August, and supports 1 to 2 players and network battles. The game boasts improved graphics from its predecessors, running at 640 by 480 resolution and featuring more beautiful visuals. The storyline is completely new, focusing on mahjong battles with attractive girls. The page introduces character partners that you can select, and these partners have unique special moves and influence the ending. It shows screenshots of the mahjong gameplay and character selection. There are character profiles for partner characters, including Amano Mai, described as a classic, reliable character. Mizuno Yuki, a slightly dreamy high school girl who is good at calling reach in mahjong and has a special move called Yuki-chan Smash. Miruki Pai, the shopkeeper's daughter, who is depicted as having a more mature physique and a powerful special move. Seira Chiruru. The page also highlights the red Dora tile, which is described as a tile that appears occasionally and acts as a Dora bonus tile just by having it in hand, increasing the point value by 1. This page introduces the Dreamcast game Naomi Cram School Finally Co-ed, which is focused on mahjong gameplay. It emphasizes the new versus play mode, allowing players to compete against each other in what's described as a serious match, where cheating is impossible. The game uses a 3-round match system, where the goal is to make your opponent reach Hakoten, 0 points. There's also a panel match mode, where players can compete and win items. The page highlights that winning in panel match requires nerve and luck, and items can be used for an advantage, hinting at possible cheating in this mode, in a playful way. It mentions that the game features undressing scenes, boasting 2 lavish patterns, and suggests players should thoroughly enjoy the graphics. Characters like Milky Pie, Suzu Seira, and Saotome Chiruru are shown with their special skills briefly described, such as Milky Pie's Milky Missile and Suzu Seira's Mysterious Fire. The page seems to promote the game's competitive multiplayer aspect and the added appeal of undressing scenes for adult players. This page is focused on providing in-depth tactics for Cybertroopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram version 5.4 on Dreamcast. It's lesson 1 of a series, aiming to help players understand the close combat system. The page breaks down various close combat techniques including normal, crouching, turbo, quick step, small jump, and down attacks, each accompanied by screenshots demonstrating these moves in action. The article highlights that close combat is now more important in version 5.4 compared to previous versions. The This Week's Menu section outlines the topics covered, such as understanding the close combat system, canceling basic close combat attacks, using quick steps for tactical advantage, countering quick step attacks, and how to execute high-speed lasers. The copyright information mentions Sega Enterprises and Character Design by Hajime Katoki. This page focuses on a gameplay guide for Cybertroopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram, specifically point 1 of the guide, which is about understanding and reconfirming basic melee attack cancels. The article explains the mechanics of canceling melee attacks in the game and details the cancelable actions for different types of melee attacks. normal melee, crouching melee, and turbo melee. It lists actions that can and cannot cancel each type of melee attack, such as dashing, jumping, guarding, and quick-stepping. A section highlights changes introduced in version 5.4, emphasizing the increased importance of normal melee attacks in this version due to adjustments in overall game speed and mechanics. The guide uses screenshots to illustrate gameplay and reinforce the explanations of melee combat in Virtual on Oratorio Tangram. The next page focuses on Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram version 5.4 and specifically details the changes and tactical advantages of the new Quick Step Cancel feature. Version 5.4 has broadened the tactical options by allowing players to cancel quick steps with actions like dash, jump, small jump near attacks, and guard, whereas previously only dashing could cancel it. The page explains how to execute the quick step cancel and lists actions that can and cannot cancel a quick step. It also highlights the quick step near attack, a sideways quick step combined with a melee attack, noting its strengths and weaknesses, particularly against guard reversals. A significant change in version 5.4 is the ability to dash in any of the 8 directions to cancel a quick step, offering greater freedom in movement compared to version 5.2, which restricted dashing to the same direction as the quick step. Finally, the page briefly touches upon guard reversal near attack and down attack moves. This page is point 3 of an article focusing on quick step close combat in Cyber Troopers Virtual on Oratorio Tangram. It discusses why quick step close combat is strong, highlighting that it can approach the enemy at a dead angle, making guarding difficult. The page then details 2 counter strategies. Case A suggests using guard reversal when the opponent uses quick step close combat, but warns that a simple guard reversal close combat can be easily countered. Case B proposes using jumps to evade quick step close combat, followed by an air dash to escape further attacks, though it notes landing poorly can lead to being circled again. Lastly, a technique high-speed laser output is introduced for the Raiden unit, describing how to fire lasers faster by inputting RW and then quickly CW after the bazooka is triggered, achieving a quicker laser shot. This page covers the D2 Shock Warp Cup Snowmobile King Tournament. The event featured special guest Yoshiki Okamoto from Capcom, who participated in a talk show with Inano. The article reports on the tournament, noting that 18 snowmobile gamers gathered for the competition. It also mentions that Dreamcast Magazine's editorial team attended the event. The rules of the tournament were based on time attack, and the competition featured entertaining moments, with participants like Rinkyukin and Echo Deck experiencing wipeouts. The article highlights a talk show segment between Ikino and Okamoto, hinting at secret content not suitable for print due to its mature nature. The bottom of the page features photos of participants like Yamagishi Yoshinori, Yuzuman, Seiro, D's Table Road, Eclipse, Sparky, Chestnut, and Saboten, who were among the snowmobile gamers at the event. The game being showcased is WARP's D2, a survival horror game with snowmobile elements. This page reports on the Warp Cup Snowmobile Time Attack Tournament final round, which was held in Shibuya with 18 participants. Surprisingly, 70% of the participants couldn't complete the race. The top 3 winners were Eclipsed in first place, who won a Yamaha VX500SX snowmobile, D no Shokutakudori in second, who received a travel ticket equivalent to a trip to Canada, and Sparky in third, who won a snowboard. Photos of the winners and participants are shown, along with a 3D character and text discussing feedback from the event and participants. Some of the participants included Bansan, Yoshiki, Yamazaki Toshiya, and Yuzuman. This page introduces 7th Cross FID, a fighting integration disc and communication battle game for Dreamcast. This game is described as a power-up for 7th Cross, expanding the gameplay into a simulation RPG. Players can raise and evolve creatures, then battle against others. If players have a Dreamcast Online, they can access the Fighting Network for nationwide battles. Offline play is also available by battling against creatures raised by friends using VM. The game focuses on real-time battles and creature evolution, and is highlighted as a simulation RPG for one player. 7th Cross FID was released on December 23, 1998, and priced at 5,800 yen, and was included as a bonus disc with Dreamaga GD Volume 1, July 9th issue. This Dreamcast Magazine page offers strategic advice for raising creatures in 7th Cross Evolution, specifically for the FID tournament. The first key point discusses changes to Special Express power attacks. Previously random attacks now focus on reducing enemy EP and hindering HP recovery, demanding strategic attack choices. The second point details maximizing base stats. Stat gains from DNA sheets are tied to part levels. The article suggests a method for increased stat gains by strategically using two colors to fill DNA panels. Early acquisition of higher-level parts is emphasized. Finally, the article stresses the significance of equipped parts and their impact on stats. Players are cautioned to consider these modifications to avoid exceeding the tournament's total stat limit of 3,500. The article is supplemented with screenshots of battles, menus, and DNA panel examples.
This page is focused on the game Seaman, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Jean-Paul Gassé's birth, the fictional discoverer of the creature seaman. It introduces the concept of seaman exploration and the evolutionary process of the creature. The page details how in 1932, Jean-Paul Gassé discovered the ancient fish seaman in a market in Alexandria. Driven to unravel its mysterious ecology, Gassé studied at the University of Paris and conducted research in Egypt. Frustrated with unsuccessful breeding experiments, Gassé invited his close friend Kimo Masuda, a Japanese elite doctor, to his Egyptian research facility for joint research on seamen. The article discusses the discovery of research documents from Masuda Kimo's house in Matsusaka City, Mie Prefecture, revealing crucial information about seamen. It mentions the examination of seamen's eggs, describing their size and color, and the hatching process where a cream-colored sphere moves within a translucent jelly-like egg, eventually showing a black dot resembling an eye. It details how tapping the glass makes the seaman flee, indicating the beginning of its life activity. The page features images of seaman eggs in a petri dish, suggesting research and observation. It emphasizes the scientific approach to understanding seamen's life cycle, presented as a significant discovery from ancient biological archaeology. This page is a Dreamcast Magazine special feature titled, Load to the Mystery. The article is about the upcoming Dreamcast game, Seaman, Forbidden Pet. It presents itself as the discovery of a doctor's seaman breeding diary. The page details the evolution of the seaman creature, starting from an egg stage, then to a tadpole-like form, and finally to a juvenile stage with a distinctive human-like face. The article emphasizes the game's release date of July 22nd, highlighting its realistic CG graphics and its simulation of seaman's learning and communication abilities using a microphone. It also mentions the interactive elements like tapping on the aquarium to communicate. The screenshots showcase the different developmental stages of the seaman and in-game scenes. The page aims to create intrigue around this unique and unusual pet simulation game. This page is a breaking news report titled, Was Seaman in the Kamakura Period? From Akita Prefecture, announcing the discovery of a mysterious wooden tag from the Suzaki ruins, depicting what appears to be a mermaid. The article details the finding of a wooden tag from the 13th-16th century, depicting a human fish, or mermaid, discovered at the Suzaki ruins in Akita Prefecture. The artifact, described as 80.6 centimeters long, 14.5 centimeters wide, and 0.5 centimeters thick, is made of cedar wood, and depicts a human-faced, hand-footed mermaid being offered to a monk. The magazine highlights the news of this discovery being reported in newspapers on May 26, including an Asahi Shimbun article. Using infrared photography to enhance the image, the magazine then draws a parallel between this ancient depiction and the Dreamcast game, Seaman. It emphasizes the striking similarities: the human-like face, the presence of hands and feet, and the idea that both the ancient figure and the game character could be considered subjects of legend and belief. The article includes a screenshot of the Dreamcast game Seaman, captioning it as the Dreamcast game Seaman, and noting the characteristic fins and feet. The magazine suggests a surprising connection between the Kamakura period artifact and the Dreamcast game character Seaman, proposing that the Seaman legend might have existed even back then. This article explores the historical concept of seaman, linking it to Kublai Khan's ambition to conquer Japan and the turbulent era of the Mongol Empire. It examines the Yuan dynasty's expansion, the resistance of Japan under Tokimune Hojo, and the religious persecution of Nichiren, suggesting that seamen represent something sought after by powerful figures. The narrative uses a map of East Asia to illustrate the geopolitical context. The piece expands beyond a game context, arguing that seaman embodies a recurring motif in times of chaos and upheaval, paralleling ancient myths and modern events like World War II. It implies semen emerges during periods of significant change, reflecting ambition, conflict, and the search for control within historical narratives. This page introduces a new corner in the Olrude Kingdom story series, focusing on easily understandable 4-panel manga to explain kingdom life. The theme for this installment is training. The page highlights two types of training: speed training and stamina training. Speed training is depicted with manga panels showing a character running on a sandy beach, referred to as Bath Beach. The text in the panel mentions, "Dash on the beach for speed training." Stamina training is shown through manga panels of a character climbing a ladder. The text in the panel says, "Stamina training is about climbing cliffs, right?" Another panel shows a crowd of people watching the climber. The article also introduces Bath Beach as the first in the Olrude Kingdom Famous Places tour. It describes Bath Beach as a sandy beach named after the legendary figure Bath, an ancient king. It's mentioned that Bath Beach is known as a popular date spot and a training location, particularly for speed training through beach dashes. The text hints at potential awkward encounters between couples on dates and people engaged in training at the beach. It also mentions that at Murrel's Steeple, stamina training is possible, but cautions women to be careful, especially those with tight minis, as they might attract unwanted attention from men in Pete and ORLG. The game being featured is World Neverland Plus, Olrude Kingdom Stories. This page introduces the Olrude Kingdom Comic Submission Communication Corner, inviting readers to submit their 4-panel comics. The theme for this round of submissions is training, and the featured artist is Mr. Takahashi Sato. It is mentioned that within the Olrude Kingdom, the concept of couple crushing is popular. The page provides detailed dimensions for creating the 4-panel comics and outlines submission guidelines, including the mailing address and essential personal information like name, address, age, occupation, and comic title. Example 4-panel comics are shown, illustrating themes such as spirit training, battle and strategy, and today's wedding ceremony. Characters identified as Pete, ORLG member, Ban, ORLG member, and Urias, ORLG member, appear in these comic strips. A rock-paper-scissors relationship between these characters is explained. Pete is strong against Ban, Urias is strong against Pete, and Ban is strong against Urias. Readers are encouraged to remember this dynamic when devising their comics. The submission deadline is the end of October. The mailing address for submissions is provided, and it is noted that original artwork will not be returned. This page from Sunrise Robot CG World, Volume 17, focuses on the new mobile report Gundam Wing series, specifically highlighting the WMS-03 Maganak mobile suit. The Maganak is described as a mobile suit utilized by a unit of 40 pilots known as the Maganak Corps. It was introduced in Gundam Wing and is piloted by characters from the Wiener Foundation in the Sandrock story arc, including the pilot Quatre Reberba Winner. The Maganak Corps consists of 40 pilots, led by Rashid Kurama. It is mentioned that the Maganak is a desert specification mobile suit independently developed by a Middle Eastern nation. The text emphasizes that the base model is customized by each pilot, leading to numerous variations, which is a key characteristic of this mobile suit. The data section provides technical details for the WMS-03 Maganak, stating its full name as New Mobile Report Gundam Wing Maganak. It is 16.4 meters tall, weighs 7.4 tons, and is armed with weapons like the beam rifle. The pilot is listed as Rashid Kurama and others. The remarks section notes that, due to customization by each pilot, specs like height, weight, and weapons vary depending on the individual machine. This page showcases Evolution, the world of Sacred Device, known in Japan as Shinki Sekai Evolution, with a manga comic strip. The comic depicts the main characters, Mag Launcher and Linear Cannon, in humorous situations during their adventure, including carrying heavy luggage and being surprised by hidden creatures. Character profiles on the right introduce Mag Launcher, described as an energetic adventurer from the Launcher family, Linear Cannon, a mysterious girl with unknown powers, and Gray Need, the dependable butler of the Launcher household. The bottom text highlights Evolution, the world of Sacred Device, as a dungeon exploration RPG for the Dreamcast, released on January 21st, for 5,800 yen and designed for single player.
The next page is a fan page dedicated to Sengoku Turb, an action RPG. There's a funny discussion about the game's name, with some people calling it Donutted instead of Donash. The page features a section called This Week's Theme, Animal Abuse, which includes reader submissions about their childhood experiences related to animal mistreatment, though it's presented in a lighthearted way. A large portion of the page is dedicated to fan art submissions for Illustration Corner Festival, showcasing various drawings of Sengoku Turb characters from different regions with comments from the artists. The page mentions that a Sengoku Turb trial version is included with Dream Magazine GD, describing the game as a war RPG, where the main character Chinyan gets caught up in a conflict between cat and sheep armies. Finally, there's a section explaining how to submit content to the fan page, inviting readers to send in illustrations and ideas, with a bear plush toy promised as a prize for those selected. This page is a report from 1999, focused on the Dreamcast game Kita-E, White Illumination with You, a title that never saw release outside of Japan. The article is announcing the results of a fan poll to determine the most popular spots in the game. Hakodate Mountain and the character Tanya were revealed as a favorite combination amongst players. Maizuru Park with Kotori is also highlighted as another popular location. Looking at the character popularity breakdown, Ruri is the most popular character by a significant margin at 43%, followed by Tanya at 26%. The article also delves into Hokkaido gourmet food featured in Kita-E, showcasing items like Okami no Momo, peach of Okami, Ika Tokuri, squid tokuri, and Gyosha Niniku, traveler's garlic, hinting at the culinary experiences within the game. Finally, it includes a call for reader submissions for the magazine's Susuran Friends Association section, indicating ongoing community engagement with Kita-E. This page is an advertisement for the Black Matrix manga anthology, part of the SB Comics game series. It features artwork and details for the Doublecast anthology comic and announces a forthcoming Black/Matrix anthology comic 2. The story premise is described as being about the main character Abel awakening from a long sleep to a world where good and evil are reversed. The advertisement lists numerous contributing artists and authors for the anthology. It mentions that this comic anthology is based on the simulation game Black Matrix, which was released in the summer, and it is a side story drawn with effort by many writers. The Doublecast anthology comic is advertised as already available at the price of 850 yen, plus tax for 162 pages in A5 size. The Black/Matrix Anthology Comic 2 is scheduled for release in July, also at the price of 850 yen plus tax for 162 pages in A5 size, and is currently in production and accepting pre-orders. The publisher is credited as Flightplan and NEC Interchannel, with illustrations by Masami Shinohara. The advert also contains information about where to purchase the books and contact details for inquiries. This page is a weekly data station for Sega Saturn information, featuring game rankings and release schedules. The top anticipated new releases based on user data are listed, with You Mitsumete Itai, a romance-adventure game by NEC Interchannel, at number 1. Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, known internationally as Sonic 3D Blast, published by Sega, is second. Third is Words from Elf, followed by Real Sound 2 Cause No Regret from Warp, an audio game, and Street Fighter ZERO3, known as Street Fighter Alpha 3 internationally, published by Capcom, rounds out the top 5. The top-selling games in shops are also ranked.
Derby Stallion, a horse racing simulation game from ASC2, is number 1. Friends, Seishun no Kagayaki, a game by NEC Interchannel, is second. And Dungeons & Dragons Collection from Capcom is third, which is a compilation of Dungeons & Dragons, Tower of Doom, and Dungeons & Dragons, Shadow over Mystara. Finally, there's a Sega Saturn release schedule for upcoming titles. In July, You Mitsumete Itai and Professional Baseball Guide Mahjong Jin are expected. Also scheduled for July is Street Fighter ZERO3, as both a standalone game and a bundle with a 4 MB RAM cartridge. For summer 1999, planned releases include Monster Maker Holigar, Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, Real Sound 2 Cause No Regret, J-League Excite Stage 97, and Words. This page showcases the Reader's Race for Sega Saturn games,
a ranking determined by reader votes. It's an odds table Saturn A as of June 11th, listing a total of 1147 Saturn software titles released at that time. The ranking table is prominent, displaying games with their ranks, previous ranks, titles, genres, and average scores. At the top of the chart is EVE Burst Error, followed by Grandia and Uno, a girl who chants love at the bound of this world. The page highlights the community-driven aspect of rating and ranking Saturn games based on player feedback.
This page features a reader poll and ranking of Sega Saturn games. Mini-reviews highlight several unranked titles. Ryoko's Chat Room, an expensive etc. game, is criticized for its limited content. Virtual Mahjong 2, My Fair Lady and Yoshimoto Mahjong Club, both table games, are noted for their polygon graphics, with the former deemed overpriced. Continued First Love Story School Trip, a simulation, is engaging despite its brevity. ROX Rocks, a puzzle game, is praised for its simple rules and art style. Mizubaku Daibuken, an action game, is considered enjoyable despite dated graphics. Waku Waku Monster, a puzzle game with monster raising, is seen as promising but lacking polish. The right side displays a ranked list of Saturn games, reflecting reader preferences.
The next page is a Sega Saturn game ranking chart. It's a long list of games with their rankings, titles in Japanese, genre, and total average scores. Some of the top-ranked games include titles like Fighting Illusion K1 Grand Prix, Fighters History Dynamite, Fantastep, Three Kingdoms On V, The Tower, World Cup 98 France Road to Win, Detective Jinguji Saburo Unfinished Report, Sound Novel Tsukuru 2, Eternal Illusion Ensemble, and FIDA Remake, Emblem of Justices. It appears to be a comprehensive ranking of many Saturn titles. This page features Oz rankings for Sega Saturn games and peripherals. Game rankings include titles like The Psychotron and Deep Fear, while peripherals listed are controllers, light guns, and expansion devices, such as the Virtua Stick Pro and Sega Saturn floppy disk drive. A reader survey section encourages predictions for game rankings, with 2 prediction games, one based on a specific game's first appearance, currently Super Makai Boy Canaban Runaway Robot Riddle,
and a double chance game.
Participants who submit postcards with feedback, reviews, and predictions before the June 17th deadline are entered for a chance to win a Dreamcast arcade stick and visual memory set. The survey also seeks input on desired software. This page announces a character popularity poll titled Surprise? Celebrating a 2-week special feature. The top section highlights characters from various games. Featured are Tsukishima Erika from Kyoto, possibly a dating sim, Sako from Tokyo, Hanasaki Ren and Futatsuki Kana from Fukuoka Prefecture, likely Sakura Wars, and Hitomi Mimi from Tokyo. Below, a ranking is presented. Reni from Sakura Wars is in first place with 110 votes, followed by Maria, second, 58 votes, Iris, third, 45 votes, and Koran, fourth, 38 votes, all from Sakura Wars. The rankings and descriptions suggest ongoing voting, with the Sakura Wars characters receiving significant attention. The page also lists names and locations, possibly contributors or staff, including Nakamura Russia, Natsu Ichigo, Takamine Akira, and Koizumi Akio. The next page showcases a magnificent countdown feature centered around the Sakura Wars series entitled Waiting for the Reign of Grace, Welcome to the Imperial Capital Theater. This section appears to be a popularity poll for characters within the Sakura Wars universe. The Imperial Capital Theater section features comic strips with characters like Ugami, Sakura, Sumair, and Kana, discussing character preferences in a humorous way, implying reader feedback is being incorporated. The Popularity Vote Rise Committee section highlights the character Iris, noting that her ranking has fallen, but expressing hope for her to climb back up in popularity, encouraging readers to support her. The Heidi-Ho Diddle-Dee Corner is a reader submission area, acknowledging illustrations sent in based on a previous theme. It announces the next theme is water, and specifically mentions swimsuits as a sub-theme, encouraging readers to send in more illustrations. This week's Big Scoop is a short personal story about a person who went to Toyama for DJing and had an unfortunate experience with a closed public bath after an event, resulting in a cold and uncomfortable night. Finally, a character popularity ranking is displayed, listing Sunemeyer as 5th with 36 votes, Kana as 6th with 31 votes, Iris as 7th with 28 votes, and Sakura as 8th with 23 votes. This page from Arcade Express Volume 52 previews the SNK fighting game BURIKI-1 World Grapple Tournament 99 in Tokyo, released internationally as BURIKI-1. This game, for the Hyper Neo Geo 64 arcade system, is highlighted for its unique system mechanics. The page details the power balance gauge, vital gauge, and lock gauge systems, along with throwing techniques. It mentions the game features 11 fighters in a 3D fighting arena. The page emphasizes understanding these unique gauges to master this mixed martial arts fighting game. This page of Arcade Express in Dreamcast Magazine highlights a fighting game featuring 11 diverse martial artists in a second system game. The game showcases a roster of fighters from various disciplines, including Total Fighting, represented by Tenryu Gen, Sumo with Akebono Maru, Muay Thai featuring Pyax Cynic, Taikyokuken Sogendo, Karate's Sakazaki Ryo, Aikido with Sayenji Takatato, Judo's Jack Dougal, Boxing represented by Bob Payne, Professional Wrestling with Patrick Van Hedding, Taekwondo's Seo Ryuken, and Amateur Wrestling with Alex Ivan Kolov. The screenshots illustrate the in-game action and character portraits. The second system is described as having a unique control system with special gauges, and a system that visually guides players on screen for combo attacks like punch-kick grapple combinations, making it easier for beginners to perform complex moves. This page from Hello! Capcom covers 2 games. Firstly, it discusses Biohazard 3 Last Escape, also known internationally as Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which was announced for PlayStation following Biohazard Code Veronica on Dreamcast. This installment is set after the events of the original Biohazard, or Resident Evil, internationally, in Raccoon City during a biohazard outbreak. The main character is Jill Valentine, a returning STARS member from the first game, who will be facing a new escape drama using her skills. Secondly, the page previews Street Fighter II I Third Strike. This is the 6th time this corner is featured in the magazine, and the development seems to be getting busy. There is mention of a Maniac character secret book in development. The team is working hard to achieve a realistic feel for Street Fighter II I. Character designers are creating new illustrations, and there's a plan for a present campaign where signed illustrations will be given away. Readers are invited to send in their opinions and requests for this corner. This page is dedicated to mastering EX special moves in Street Fighter II on Third Strike. It explains that EX moves are powered-up versions of special moves, activated by using Super Art Gauge. The page details the advantages of using EX moves, categorizing them into increased attack power, enabling aerial combos, altering move properties, and preventing blocking. The article then dives into character-specific EX move strategies. For example, it mentions Chun-Li's EX spinning bird kick having faster startup, Makoto's EX Surugibana being easier to combo into, Q's EX mysterious headbutt having wide range, 12's EX NDL being useful in air combos, Remy's EX sonic boom being a good projectile, Yun and Yang's EX moves being effective for offense, Alex needing to manage his Super Art Gauge for EX moves, and Oro's EX Kishin Kujiki hitting multiple times. For other characters like Ryu, Dudley, Necro, Ibuki, Elena, Hugo, and Urien, the page briefly touches upon how their EX moves can be utilized effectively in different combat situations, such as for combos, zoning, or adding pressure. The overall message is to understand and strategically use EX moves to enhance your gameplay in Street Fighter II I, Third Strike. This page is a special crosstalk interview with 5 key members of the development team behind Crazy Taxi Rush 2. The team consists of Kenji I. Kano, the director, Masaki Ito, the main programmer, Tyoshika Zugoi, the programmer, Tako Ibulese, the designer, and Mitsuhiko Akita, also a designer. They are discussing the origins and development process of Crazy Taxi. The interview begins by talking about the genesis of Crazy Taxi, initially conceived as a car game rather than a taxi game running on the NAOMI arcade board. They wanted to create a game that would appeal to general players, not just hardcore gamers. The initial concept involved races in a city setting, and the idea of making it a taxi game came later. The developers discussed the visual style, which was initially European-themed before evolving. The conversation touches on the challenges and design choices in making the game engaging and fun, including the stop mechanic, which was initially difficult, leading to the anywhere concept. They also discuss jump mechanics and course design, aiming for an impactful visual experience with exhilarating jumps. The interview ends with a discussion about the final touches, including special moves, and making sure the actions when stopping are cool. This page showcases Crazy Taxi and a special bicycle mode. The page details how to activate this mode using a command input involving the accelerator and brake pedals while selecting a character. It mentions that in this mode, all vehicles, including taxis, Axel's car, Joe's car, Gus's car, and even the player's car, become bicycles. The interview snippets feature comments from developers discussing the game's development process, player feedback, and design choices. They mention adjusting game elements based on location tests and aiming for a balance between core users and casual players. They also touch on the game's initial reception, its overspec nature for arcade hardware, and the challenges of porting it to Dreamcast. The screenshots show gameplay in bicycle mode, with various characters and vehicles replaced by bicycles. This page is an advertisement spread for strategy guides from SoftBank Publishing. The top section promotes the Chaos Gear Perfect Guide for the Dreamcast game Chaos Gear Road to the Guided, emphasizing it as a complete guide to conquer the game. The middle section focuses on the Last Stand Perfect Guide, detailing it as a guide that unravels the world, training, battles, and story of the new sensation simulation RPG Last Stand. It mentions release in late June and showcases character illustrations and gameplay information. The bottom section highlights the Super Robot Tyson Compact Perfect Guide and WonderSwan Perfect Guides, mentioning that guides for Vitz Blade and Neon Genesis Evangelion, Ikusei Keikaku on WonderSwan are forthcoming in July. This week's Dreamcastrology, June 11th-17th, offers horoscopes for each zodiac sign. Aries can expect sudden victory in money, health stability, and think as much as you like in love, but caution at work. Spicy food and brown are lucky. Taurus should investigate finances, focus on physical strength, beware of love troubles, and be vigilant at work.
Light pink and medical supplies are fortunate.
Gemini sees stable money, declining health, a need to endure in love, and a rework in work. Cool colors and salad are key. Cancer anticipates increased money, reversed sleep schedules, suspicion in love, and a work break. Red and handmade charms are lucky. Leo sees severe money luck, healthy bodies, strained nerves in love, and irritating work. Blue-green and organization are helpful. Virgo's money improves. Watch over drinking, attack in love, and don't give up at work. Yellow and stationery are lucky. Libra experiences a last-minute rush for money, good health, passionate love, and a need to pace themselves in work. Wall clocks are lucky. Scorpio needs wallet caution, poor health, closer walks in love, and a step forward, step back at work. White is the lucky color. Sagittarius foresees small money gains, moderate health, big love changes, and responsibility in work. Greenery and gemstones are lucky. Capricorn faces extravagant spending, a heavy mood, frankness in love, and data-focused work.
Purple and warmth are fortunate.
Aquarius should avoid spending, beware of sleep deprivation, expect destined encounters, and new developments at work. Silver and metal are lucky. Pisces will find money from waste, a dull feeling for health, infatuation, and an uncertain work future.
Yellowish green and dented materials are lucky.
The lucky items for the week are the House of the Dead and the Final Boss. This page showcases a reader prize campaign from Dreamcast Magazine, offering 4 different prizes to lucky winners. First prize is Dreamcast game software, with 20 winners selected. Second prize is a Tokyo Highway Challenge t-shirt and strap set from Genki, with 5 winners. Third prize is a paperback for Idol Janshi wo Tsukuchao Heart, tentative title, from Jaleco, with 5 winners, this likely being related to an Idol Mahjong game. The final prize is a Street Fighter II Third Strike pamphlet from Capcom, with 3 winners. The page also promotes the upcoming July 2nd issue of Dreamcast Magazine, which is scheduled to be released on June 18th. This issue will feature a special focus on wrestling games like Giant Graham and WCW vs. NWO World Tour, alongside other features on figures, Mega Drive games, and the cover story being The King of Fighters. Dreamcast new information highlights games like Frame Gride, Biohazard Expendable Carrier, Tokyo Highway Challenge, Die Hard Arcade 2, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Jake Hunter Detective Story Series, plus features on figures and a retrospective on 16-bit consoles like the Mega Drive, and mentions of Shenmue and D2. There's also a staff list for the magazine on this page. The next page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2, now on sale for 5,800 yen. This racing simulator boasts the Monaco City Course, offering both arcade and simulation modes, with features like tire wear and fuel consumption in the simulation mode. Players can enjoy classic races in a 1950s retro mode. The game includes 17 courses and 11 teams, and is technically supervised by Luno Company of France. Part now. Sponsors include Bridgestone, Castrol, and TAG Heuer, and it is published by Ubisoft Entertainment. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Frame Gride, an upcoming versus mecha action title scheduled for release in July with a suggested retail price of 6,800 yen, excluding tax. The advert highlights the game's features such as the parts composition system, where players can create original parts and strengthen their mechs. It mentions various weapons like rifles, swords, and shields, enabling diverse attack strategies. The Liberate Stone system allows customization of mech performance and attributes, influencing combat. Squaya are mentioned as entities within Liberate Stones that support players with unique attributes and attack methods. The text emphasizes the strategic depth of the battles, with flashy effects in 3D versus mecha action. Network battles using modems are also mentioned, expanding the battlefield. Several screenshots are shown, depicting in-game action and menus, showcasing the mechs and user interface. The bottom of the page features the From Software logo and website address, along with contact information and copyright details from 1999.